aliens. Democrat Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California says she hasn't seen any violence. There's been no shooting or killing of people in what she calls protests. Senator Tuberville posted a video clip of a man throwing rocks at federal law enforcement officers. He also wrote on the X platform that apparently Maxine Waters doesn't count rocks and fireworks thrown at law enforcement as a form of violence. Tuberville then went on to say that the Democrats continue to lie in order to protect illegal aliens. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
I'm Amy Beth Shaver with Alabama Unfiltered Radio, and when I need the news and I need it fast, I turn to Andrea Tice and the Daily Detail. On my way in, it is the most convenient, best way for me to digest what's going on so that I can use it for our show. She tells you what's going on in Alabama that day first and fast. So listen to the Daily Detail with Andrea Tice. Don't miss out.
The Daily Detail is available wherever podcasts are found.
A standoff occurred in the town of Woodfield this past Tuesday. Jackson and Madison County authorities responded to that standoff at a home where a man was armed and had his 2 children with him. James Guerin is now facing domestic violence charges. The Madison County SWAT team breached the window of that home in order to take Guerin into custody. The Alabama Department of Public Health has determined that there are no active measles cases here in Alabama. One person in Lee County was under investigation for potential exposure to that disease, but that case has tested negative, and the ADPH says it was not a case of measles. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage.
And I'm Madeline Cannon. It's true, rates aren't as low as they have been for the past couple of years, but there are still many homeowners that could benefit from refinancing their current mortgage. There are a lot of things in life that are out of our control, but your mortgage rate is not one of them. If you currently have an adjustable rate mortgage, then you owe it to yourself to give us a call.
Adjustable rate mortgages make sense for some people in stable markets, but in this wild, ever-changing rate environment, it only makes sense to secure a fixed interest rate. A fixed interest rate will give you the peace of mind that your rate is locked. Your rate will not be subject to change with the political and economic tides.
At Alabama Home Mortgage, you can personalize your term. We offer 8-year to 30-year mortgages and everything in between. Grab your mortgage statement and give us a call.
Call Alabama Home Mortgage, the #1 mortgage lender in Alabama, today at 567-4223, or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36A, Equal Housing Lender.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into yet another program, yet another show here out of Montgomery, Alabama. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Looks like Elon has officially apologized on X. Trump responding to that. Trump also revealing a personal, humanizing interview with Miranda Devine that he might have, in another life, have been a flutist. Yes, he would have been a flute player. Apparently, when he was a kid, he was really talented at music or something. We can get into that silliness. Trump also less confident Iran will cut a nuclear deal, even with the Russians saying, hey, Iran, let us just hold the uranium. We'll give it to you when needed for civilian purposes, but stop fighting with the United States. Also, a deal with China seems to be done. In fact, that is the quote, done deal from the president. Still waiting, though, on the final signature of President Trump and President Xi of China. And, of course, consumer prices coming in lower than expected once again, 4 months straight that we're getting low inflation. It's a good day indeed, unless I guess you're in a big city and we're going to start rioting. I mean, peacefully protesting until it needs to be a riot. Anyway, joining me, as he always does on Wednesday, we have Jeff Poor, host of The Jeff Poor Show, and also editor-in-chief there at 1819news.com. Hey, Jeff, how you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Now, how do you score the Trump administration this far into it? It seems like we're way past the honeymoon period. There have been some bumps in the road, but how do you think things are going at the moment?
B plus. I don't know. I thought it was a little too high on our own supply early, and that's easy to do because the Biden 4 years was such a disappointment. I mean, on all fronts. And you get something where the president is actually doing, border policy and going after the deep state and making all these hires that people were excited about. But it hasn't been bad. There have been some things, some missteps, but that's to be expected. And it's hard to get an A in that role, I would say. But I mean, certainly. Maybe in my lifetime, since Reagan at least, he's probably had the most success.
Well, and with this Congress, I mean, they're going to be continuing to iron out the so-called big, beautiful bill. You think they land the plane? I think they're trying to do it by July 4th.
I don't know about the July 4th deadline, but I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen by the August recess. And I don't know what they're going to get. They'll have to give up something. It's just how loud can the Rand Paul, Thomas Massey contingent get? But I keep saying this, Joey, you and I have talked about this. It's maybe as good as you're going to get. I mean, it's hard to get 535 members of the United States Congress all happy, and you could leave half of them on the table, apparently. What are you going to do? How are you going to keep the caucus together in both chambers? And then I think this might be the best that you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good here.
Well, I agree. I agree with that, especially with the realities of these slim majorities. And of course, you have I love these, Politico did it today or yesterday, that top Republican says she doesn't like Marines being sent to Los Angeles. And of course, it's the top Republican is Susan Collins. And I'm like, who in the conservative world's man, when I think of a good rock rib Republican that I can support, I think of Susan Collins. It's just, because she's been there forever, but there's always going to be these folks that are going to go with the usual Washington way. So I think you're right about that. And shifting to, say, not just what's happening in Los Angeles, but the expected peaceful protests that all of a sudden turn into riots somehow. You think we're going to have to see this played out like we watched in 2020 again?
I don't think it's going to get that far. The people saw what happened in 2020. I think there was some regret there that the Trump wasn't more proactive against the BLM rioting of that time, and everybody was scared of their own shadow, and he was listening to all the wrong people. You gotta humble yourself. You gotta show humility here. These are honest people, really concerned about race relations in our country, and all the corporations all got on board, and they all, it was just this weird groupthink time in our country when the rest of the country's kind of looking around this is insanity. Why are we going along with this? And I guess now Trump's I need to stick to my instincts and not listen to Jared Kushner or whoever it was in his ear at the time.
Oh yeah, nip it in the bud. And I just find that the American people aren't going to stand for this again, at least a critical mass. But I'm wondering why do the Democrats think this seems to be such an opportunity? Like Gavin Newsom last night in that miserable speech, it just speaks of elections ahead and the flowery poetic language of we're fighting for human rights and all this stuff. It's why are y'all choosing to pick this fight? Is it as honest as we just respect human rights? We're like the Pope. We just, nobody's illegal. No person is illegal. Or do they maybe have a little more cynical political ploy here? Say it's representation in that Congress we just talked about.
Well, maybe, but I think for Gavin Newsom, the party's being led by the kind of the fringe elements right now. That your average, it's hard to say what your average Democratic voter is and what they believe. Let's not even say the average Democrat in 2025. Let's say the average Democrat voter in 2012. And, somebody who may not view themselves as liberal or far left, but maybe they're liberal. They're just liberal enough to be a Democrat voter. And the party has moved to where it's being controlled by that fringe element that I think a lot of these 2012 Obama-style Democrats aren't really excited about the direction of that party. It's not that they're going out and voting for Trump; they're just not voting. And so, for Gavin Newsom to give that speech puts him probably, and it was not a very well orchestrated effort, but to stake himself out where he is probably good for his Democratic Party presidential bid aspirations. I think he is the Democrat front runner. He is the guy. But once you get in a head-to-head against a Republican, there's just not enough there. It's just the Democratic Party kind of problem summed up in a sort of a textbook explanation here. Yeah, they could do well in 26. That's still not clear that they are going to do well in 26. 28 is a different election. It's a wholesale election where everybody, comes out to vote, and there aren't wholesale ideas that are propping up the Democratic Party like they once had. It's a very special interest, very myopically culture war kind of thing going on, and I think that's what they got to figure out.
Well, and I remember these days of demographics as destiny, and there's an old clip of Pat Buchanan, I think from like 20 years ago, predicting where the United States would be in 2025, and it's chillingly prophetic in the way that you see some of the divisions, especially the scenes we saw in parts of Los Angeles with the Mexican flag being waved, that you fled the country with all sorts of folks, including folks who are born here who are technically American citizens, but their compatriots, as the Mexican president said, are, they're folks right across the border. And how do you have a nation in that regard? And it seems like the Democrats really are banking on this. We'll just flood the nation with illegals. When the census comes around in 2030, the math will be in our favor. And it just seems like a losing strategy if that's all you've got. I think people are getting wise to this.
People are, but, maybe they are okay with the strategy. Maybe they're just, it doesn't matter to them either way. But I think, presidential election, let's say, does that get anybody off the couch to go vote? And my answer would be no. But flooded the zone. Pat Buchanan and others have been right. The Michael Savage, border language and culture, and this was all after 9/11 when we were talking this way and trying to preserve it, and there was some movement in that direction. But I don't think anybody ever expected a Joe Biden to come in and just open the border. I don't think that was ever, even your Democrat, your most Democrat would have expected him to go with like an Alejandro Mayorkas, who before he was Homeland Security Secretary was an open borders activist in Washington, D.C. I mean, he was sort of a villain in the nonprofit world for right wingers. And he just doesn't believe in, any sort of checks on immigration. That's your guy. And they opened it wide up. Today, there was going to be a reaction to it. There was going to be every action gets a reaction sort of idea here. And I think this is what we're seeing playing out, whether you agree with it or not. The country just was not ready for the pendulum to swing that far to the left. And I think the institutional left, the Democratic Party, they kind of banked on this notion, Joey, that the country had moved to the left. That pendulum wasn't swinging back. It was all the way to the left. It was going to stay there. They had won, and they were wrong. And the 24 election showed that. And now they're having all these other entities that bought into that are having to recalibrate right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch. What do you, in the short term, think 2026 comes down to? It's usually the party out of power gains seats, at least in the House. But what do you think the dynamics will be deciding that election?
I mean, I certainly think it could happen for Democrats. I'm not ruling that out. So much of it is the Republicans got their own problems. The Republican Party in the House of Representatives especially is just not as united as the Democratic caucus. Fundraising isn't there. You have a guy who Mike Johnson is an honorable man as Speaker. He's just not the Kevin McCarthy, John Boehner mold where he's knowing how to raise money for his caucus, playing hardball. I mean, a lot of it is he's hitching his wagon to Trump, and that's not necessarily a bad gesture there. But you know, you gotta have a war machine ready for these midterm elections, especially in this circumstance with a Republican in the White House, and I don't know that he's there.
Yeah, I mean, and I keep saying on the show, maybe it's becoming a verbal tick. We'll see. It does feel like we're in the middle of everything. A lot of, say, balls being juggled all up in the air. But I want to shift gears here before I let you go to something local. By the way, say everybody say an extra prayer for Craig Monger. He's in recovery. He's doing all right. He was texting with me this morning. But Craig and I, on Friday, Jeff, had so much fun with this Nicole Wadsworth woman. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you know the movie Spies Like Us, the scene where they say doctor, 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 doctor.
Yes.
So much fun with that. But it just was brought out today that they had, I guess, suggested that she got a PhD from the University of Alabama. That's just not true. Like, she got it from, I'm looking at it right here, a Master's of Science in Contract Management. And then she got her PhD at North Central Theological Seminary. That's not the same thing as the University of Alabama.
No, it's not at all. It's not. And this is not going well. They got to get it together, and I don't think that. I think they should have just let this one lie. Probably.
Well, and a great listener of the show just texted me. Is she also lying about being 41? My goodness.
I don't know what to make of this campaign. At least it gives us something to talk about. That's the only silver lining here. It's kind of sad.
Now, as we kind of go forward into campaign season, I am wondering, where does Caroline Dobson land? Because it seemed like she was ripe to be there at the PSC and pulls her name out of contention. What do you think she's going for?
I wouldn't be surprised to see her run for U.S. Senate. I mean, I don't know. You give up the a coveted seat, I would say, with the Public Service Commission. I get it; it's kind of a dead end. It's not a very good stepping stone. No one really likes the PSC, but I don't know. Like it was sort of a layup, and maybe you could have done something with that. But she balked at the idea that she'd have to be committed to it for 4 years. And it was just like either Congress or the Senate. Maybe she runs. If Barry Moore runs for Senate, and it's looking more and more like he is, then that first congressional seat opens back up. But Joey, I just don't know that anybody could beat Jerry Carl. He's got everything built in already. That would be tough for him. And you know, the weakness for Jerry Carl is going to be the wiregrass. Well, she did well in Mobile in AL2. That's where she would have to get a lot of her I suspect her support would be. I don't know. I think she'll run for Senate probably, and who knows? But man, that's a crowded field with Marshall, Orr, and some others.
I was about to say the exact words, crowded field. Like, if you had to guess, where do you think the big money is going to go in the state? Like, say, the establishment money, what we used to call Shelby money. Is it going to be a Steve Marshall, or or are they keeping their powder dry for the moment, kind of waiting to see how crowded it'll be?
It'll have to be Steve Marshall. I don't think they'll go with Barry Moore, but Barry Moore, people underestimate him every single time. You know, when he first ran against Martha Roby, it wasn't quite there, but somehow pulls off one of the biggest upsets in Alabama political history, I think, beating Jeff Coleman by as big of a margin as he did. And then right after that, beating Jerry Carl when they changed the districts. And Carl was the establishment guy, so you never have to count. You can't count out Barry Moore in these things.
Well, that's going to be fascinating to play out. I wanted a competitive governor's race, but it looks like we'll get a competitive Senate race at least. Maybe.
Yeah.
I was hoping for Wadsworth to be a real champion, but falling out on our face out of the gate.
No, that doesn't look like that's going to happen either, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Wes Allen's sitting pretty for the time being, as is Andrew Sorrell. My goodness, no challenger yet for the Secretary of State.
He's at Pendergrass, the guy from Dutney, from Prattville.
Yeah, he just jumped in the auditor's race.
Auditor's race. So what am I can't keep up with these things. I got to do a better job.
No, it's all good, man. Sometimes I don't know how you do it. You work a heck of a lot harder than me. So I always appreciate it, Jeff. If folks want to check out what you write about, think about how can they do so?
X.com/chef_4, but also 1819 News, 1819news.com.
And by the way, folks, the next big Albert Patterson dinner, the gala event they do, Tucker Carlson's going to be the speaker. So go to 1819 News, check it out. Look, get some tickets. It'll be a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, appreciate it, Jeff.
Thanks for having me on.
Again, folks, that is Jeff Poor, host of the Jeff Poor Show. And, of course, he's the editor-in-chief there at 1819news.com, 272-9228. If you want to jump in, if anything is catching your attention, again, Trump saying that the China deal is pretty much a done deal. I'll read the truth that he put out on Truth Social, saying it's in pretty much all caps. Our deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi and me. Full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied upfront by China. Likewise, we will provide to China what was agreed to, including Chinese students using our colleges and universities, which has always been good with me, writes Trump. We are getting a total of 55% tariffs. China is getting 10%. Relationship is excellent. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then the Secretary of Commerce, who is part of that discussion, along with Scott Bessent, saying U.S. tariffs on China are set. They won't change again. Lutnick also saying several great trade deals are coming soon. So that's great news. People are wondering, can you get things done in this 90-day window? It looks like they are going to stick the landing, China being the biggest outlier there. And of course, again, consumer prices barely rise for fourth straight month. Closely watch core inflation, only 0.1%. Many CPI inflation reports were early ones, the like expectations. This is lower than expected once again. So the Trump administration is doing something right. And I really do believe, per my conversation there with Jeff, that the midterms come down to the basics. It comes down to the economy. It comes down to, did you make some peace deals? It comes down to, did you actually follow through on your promises? But at the end of the day, I think it is going to be the economy. Do people feel like they can make do? Do people feel like they can invest? And I don't just mean big players that are investing in these new AI systems. I mean, somebody that wants to start up a local small business. Are we actually feeling comfortable of putting some money on the line, investing for the long haul? Do people who work feel like their dollar is going a lot longer? And I say feel because it's not always like you could go to whatever particular index or metric you want to use and be like, well, what's actually true? No, it comes down to the perception, to the feeling that is out there. And it's still very early in the game to be even talking about this, but such are the times. It's always the next election, right? On other news, speaking of those trade deals, we have the peace deals also being discussed. Trump now saying that interview with Miranda Devine that he's less confident Iran will cut a nuclear deal. And this is after Russia tried to play their part a few days ago, saying to Iran, give us the uranium so you can stop fighting with the U.S. Russia just offered to scoop up Iran's extra nuclear material and turn it into fuel like a radioactive recycling service. They say it's to help the U.S. and Iran finally strike a deal after years of, potential conflict and actual conflict. But the Iranians have rejected the first offer. Trump's saying he's less confident now than I would have been a couple months ago. Something happened to them, but I am much less confident of a deal being made. And of course, in what might seem like silly news to some, Elon Musk put out a late night tweet. Quoting Elon, I regret some of my posts about President Trump last week. They went too far. And honestly, there are a lot of folks saying, beautiful, this is awesome. Let's get the reconciliation going. Trump also in that interview with Miranda Devine saying, yeah, I'm open to that. I'm open to entertaining that we could, get along again. So we'll see. Nothing solid right now. So I'll keep saying we'll see. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, and they're at Pest Pro. Ashley and that fantastic team are ready to help you with any and all of your pest control needs. Of course, basic pest control protection year round, where they're coming out on a regular basis, making sure, well, those little critters aren't sneaking into that home of yours, or maybe you find something like some subterranean yellow jackets, like the dog gets into them or something. Or it could be you're looking for that year-round termite protection, and they do an annual inspection in that regard as well. You don't want to go without actually having termite protection. You're playing with fire, very expensive fire at that. And 'tis the season for mosquitoes. If you are looking for protection against those mosquitoes, you can actually enjoy the pool. You can actually enjoy sitting on the back porch or the front porch after a big meal. You get the whole family together. Instead of spraying grandma with stuff that doesn't even work, why don't you treat your yard directly and it works? You know, Eddie Bader's a great test subject. You got that big old place up on the lake. That's mosquito heaven. Not after Pest Pro gets done with their work. And it's not like they show up once. In fact, they'll show up, get you on a regular schedule about 8 times at peak mosquito season. So if you're tired of those mosquitoes bedeviling your property, call up Pest Pro Services today. You can always learn more at ppsriverregion.com or just search for Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. But that number is 265-9990. That's 265-9990. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell Ashley and that fantastic team that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you. I believe we'll have the mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed, stopping by at 1 o'clock. Honestly, we're just going to kind of see what comes up, do it on the fly. And I don't think Eddie is going to be showing up today. I believe Troy Carrico might stop by as well to keep me company, at least for an hour or so. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey.
Hey, who's this?
It's TS.
Hey, TS, how are you?
I'm quite well. You sound great today. I'd like to go back to Monday, and that Secretary of State is going to be awesome. Your show was awesome.
Oh, Andrew Sorrell. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Thanks for all of that. I missed your Tuesday show because you don't want to know why. I was just out in the yard all day. I think it's Pest Pro that's now offering like a monthly subscription to their services.
That's exactly right.
Which is perfect. But I won't keep you. You're busy having to do it all by yourself.
Oh, no, I appreciate you calling up and keeping me company. Thank you, TS.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's hit this quick break. 272-9228 again if you want to call in.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away? Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So what's that about?
So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and great food. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite grocery items delivered straight to you. Get ice cream, soda, and snacks from your favorite stores like Wegmans and CVS and make the most of every moment. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our forecast is starting to look a little bit more routine for this time of the year. Still random storms around every day, but not as many on the radar. Look for a sun and cloud mix with some random storms around today and tomorrow, mostly in the afternoon and evening hours, and high temperatures both days right around 90. Heat index getting close to triple digits, and lows at night around 70. Then look for another spike in the rain chances as we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They will be random but more numerous. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Hey, this is Jody Pangle with Peaches and Clean Powerful Carpet Cleaning. Have you been putting off your home carpet cleaning for a while? Give us a call at Peaches and Clean so we can bring your carpeting back to life. Check us out online at peachesandclean.com.
There's no clean like Peaches and Clean.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Jody Clark.
Welcome back. Real quick, and I mean real quick, I have to play this because this was I think the highlight of the Miranda Devine interview with Trump. This is about 30 seconds long.
But
Did you ever play an instrument?
I played, like, for very short periods of time, the flute. Would you believe that?
Did you like it?
I had flute lessons. It's the first person that's ever asked me that crazy question. Yeah, I had flute. Can you believe it? I could have been a flutist. And I didn't particularly like it. I don't know. It wasn't for me. And my mother had me with, I had instructors, an instructor come in to teach me how to play the flute. Can you believe that? Who would think?
I can't imagine it.
An unusual instrument.
You could maybe still do it.
I doubt it. I don't.
He could have been a flutist. Oh, let's go to Duke. Hey, Duke, how you doing?
Flutist.
The POTUS could have been a flutist.
I can see him blowing up something, love.
Hey.
I want to talk about that. Your mind went somewhere it shouldn't have went. See that? Oh, dirty boy.
Oh, I admit to that. I'm very dirty.
Yes. But, I was listening to you about, I didn't mean to call this earlier, but this Elon thing.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to a key word of what he said. He says, I took back some of the words, of the things I said. Some.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them. Not most of them, but some.
Yeah, he regrets some of his posts, yeah.
He didn't identify what he's talking about, which one.
Oh, the one he deleted, I'd imagine, the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
Some of them.
Yeah.
Capitalize, do Trump. Give them all capital letters right there.
Some?
Yeah. But, you know what that sounded like to me? It took me back to my childhood, teenage years and early adulthood years where I hear some of the guy complaining about the girlfriend broke up with him, Joey, and the girlfriend on the way out the door, she said, you wasn't any good in the sack anyway.
Oh, my, yeah.
So next 3 weeks, you take him back. He asked her, do you really mean what you said, baby, about me? She know how I am when I get mad. I say,
Yep.
say stuff.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's just it's the stuff people say.
That's what he sounded like to me, that, you know. I thought he had a set of them. I mean, a full set of them, you know.
Yeah, no, but Elon was like, I do apologize for some. And then Trump responded, I thought it was very nice that he did that. And apparently
Trump apologize back,
no.
You think Trump's going to apologize back?
Oh, no, not at all, man. The only time I've heard Trump apologize is the whole Billy Bush. You can grab him you can do anything if you're rich. Like he apologized for the locker room talk, but that's the only time I've ever heard that.
Next time you see him on TV or Elon on TV, he's gonna be like on Tim Scott. You know,
I
love
don't know
you.
about that,
I love
man.
you.
I think it's hard to put Elon Musk in
I
that
just love
camp.
you so.
Like Elon's busy enough. Appreciate it, dude. Let's go to the mushroom. Hello, sir. Mushroom, you're on the air with us, actually.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Well, listen, I don't know what I'm going to talk about really.
Can you turn your radio down in the background?
What?
Can you turn your radio down in the background? I'm hearing an echo.
Let's see if I can get out of the way here. Is this any better?
That's a little better, yeah.
Okay. I think that we just need to pay attention to someone that's in this country who specializes in toppling governments. And there's a lot of money behind what's going on in San Francisco and Los Angeles. And that money is being sponsored by someone by the name of George Soros.
Oh, sure.
You're familiar with him, yes?
Of course.
Yeah, he's been brought to our attention in the past by someone by the name of Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
And he was removed from his program on TV because people thought he went too far in naming and exposing George Soros and company. But anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up, and he's being very successful in what he's doing to deconstruct, to disassemble brick by brick our social structure, our economic structure, and I think things are just going to be, we're going to see things getting a lot worse instead of better.
Yeah.
The longer he stays in this country.
Well, and
if anybody
here's
needs to be removed, it should be George Soros.
Well, here's the issue. I think he's an old man now. His son has taken over the biz.
Exactly. And his son
you've-
is married. Do you know that?
Right. And, oh, yeah, the Uma, right?
Who did he marry? Yeah, he married
Yeah.
Uma Abedin, the best friend forever of, what's her name? Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, Hillary. And also, you're going to see a lot of Soros copycats. I think there are a lot of different rich folks that are running that same playbook, and that's exactly why we're seeing the fires in the streets.
Well, anyway, thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you, sir. Let's go to Simpler Days. Hey, Simpler Days.
Hey, Joey. I sure am glad that the president didn't decide to become a member of the New York Symphony Orchestra there, and with all of his talent, and go to the business side and let old Barack call him out and become president of the United States. But anywho, when do you think it changed the mindset? That we can identify when we started thinking it was a bad thing to hold people accountable, to identify people that were in the country illegally. You got to know, I mean, how many people got turned away at Ellis Island? How many people that went a heck of a lot farther than Mexico, all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, just to be turned back and sent back because they didn't meet the criteria, they didn't meet the rules. But when do you think that mindset changed?
I think it gets going in the 80s. Unfortunately, Reagan gives that amnesty, and he doesn't get the border security. Then it picks up. Everybody's still talking a big game, even the Democrats in the 90s. But you remember when I think W in the early aughts tries to take on this issue, and everybody screams and wails, and they give up on it. And so it's been sort of a slow burn, and then it went from a slow burn to a raging fire under Biden. I mean, the amount of people that came in the last 4 years is astounding.
Well, I know the Hollywood elite and that group, and other groups that exploited cheap labor and wanted them in the country for that purpose. I mean, that's been going on for a while, but it was kind of it was kind of under the radar. Everybody knew it was going on, but something happened where we don't require, like other countries, credentials, passports, documents, whatever, to enter that country. Something happened, and I'm just trying in my mind to remember when it was that we shifted away from, the Ellis Island, that you can't come into the country if you got TB, if you got this, if you got that. If you are not a solid person, we're not going to let you into the country. And, oh, by the way, you got to learn our language before you get out. I'm just trying to remember when that happened. When was the shift?
Yeah, I'm not even certain because it really does seem like it was a drip, drip, drip. Because even Obama talks a big game about the immigration thing. I think that's partly what the name of the game has been, is you have good, tough rhetoric on immigration, but you still let in a lot of folks.
Well, yeah, and I mean, now it's just to the extreme that you are the evil empire. You are a bad actor. You're a bad person if you say this person shouldn't be in the country because they entered the country unlawfully, illegally.
Right.
And now you're a bad person for simply identifying that.
Well, in some ways, this was looking at, say, like Hillary and the Clintons. The plan was always like, borders don't matter. These people all through our hemisphere are already essentially our citizens. And, the borders are just something that, old hat folks still pay attention to when it comes to the multinational corporations that Hillary served and the big banks, as well as these globalist plans to essentially bring everybody together. I think that was where you started to see the shift. And you had a lot of, say, corporate America and Republicans very much complicit with this idea. And thank God for Donald Trump. He revived, he took Pat Buchanan's warnings from 20, 30 years ago and revived this. And we are where we are today, because think about how unpopular that was when Trump runs in 15 and 16. Think of like the attacks that Jeb Bush tried to levy on Trump ineffectively. But this was not the common thing in terms of the immigration and the shift on China. This is all to Trump's credit.
Well, I hope I'm wrong, but Trump's going to only be in there for so long, maybe J.D. Vance, but I think it's too far gone to fix now. And I think that the powers that be want to see America and the old sovereign country, the country that you grew up, that I knew. I just don't think we'll ever see that again.
Well, it's going to be a busy next few years. You might be right. I'm kind of in this agnostic phase. Like, let's just wait and see. I don't want to discount Trump's abilities too much, though he could have been a flutist. What a world we would be in if he took up the flute. Anyway.
Well, for old Duke, Bill Clinton played multiple organs pretty good.
Yeah. He wishes he could play his own, I bet. Like every man at some point in his life, right? No, wait, I shouldn't have said that out loud. But yeah, Trump could have been a flutist. That's amazing. I didn't know this. Thank you, Miranda Devine.
Did you ever play an instrument?
I played, like, for very short periods of time, the flute. Would you believe that?
Did you like it?
I had flute lessons. It's the first person that's ever asked me that crazy question. Yeah, I had flute. Can you believe it? I could have been a flutist. And I didn't particularly like it. I don't know. It wasn't for me. And my mother had me with, I had instructors, an instructor come in to teach me how to play the flute. Can you believe that? Who would think?
I can't imagine it.
An unusual instrument.
You could maybe still do it.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Maybe he can join Lizzo or something and go play that one she got from the Smithsonian or something. Goodness. Hey, this part of the program brought to you by Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. It was great talking to Celeste and Chris yesterday, owners and operators there of Smokehouse. They're doing big things, big expansions going on, especially with that ice cream shop right there adjacent. Also have more places to sit down where it's climate controlled. But as we went over yesterday, they're back to the original recipes at Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. If you are looking for some amazing Alabama barbecue, that's the place to go. Just get by there. That's Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. Daily meat and 3 for lunch. Of course, they have breakfast for Tuesday through Sunday, open up at 6:30. And even if you get there a little earlier, they turn on the light at about 5, though it might take a little more time if you show up real early, but you can't go wrong, whether it's the ribs or the pulled pork or the brisket. Maybe you're more of a chicken or a turkey person. Just check out their menu online, and man, you're going to get hungry just reading this thing. And of course, check them out on Facebook. Just search for Smokehouse Pit Barbecue on Facebook, because they're going to have live entertainment, music on Friday, and then very soon starting on Saturday nights as well. So maybe some of your favorite local artists, local entertainers, you can go check them out while you're eating some great barbecue, maybe get a drink at the bar. It's going to be a good way to live, good way to spend the weekend. Y'all check out Smokehouse Pit Barbecue today. Same location they've always been, Main Street there in Millbrook. And be sure when you stop by, in the midst of satisfying that hunger, to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Mr. Electric.
I've been doing electrical work for 8 years, 7 years, 6 years, 23 years. I love troubleshooting. It's one of my passions.
Electrical is all I do, unless my wife asks me to do something at home. Together, there's nothing that we can't figure out or accomplish.
We've seen it all here at Mr. Electric.
Going in with the confidence to know it doesn't matter what I'm going to run into. I'm going to figure it out, and confidently telling that customer, we got you taken care of.
Mr. Electric, the power to make things better.
This is David Ernest from the Health and Wealth Show. We like to cut up and have fun, maybe poke a little fun at some politicians, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. One thing we do take seriously is your personal finances and your plans for retirement. You can tell by listening, we're a little different. Yeah, we like to have a good time on the radio, but we're dead serious about your financial future and helping you achieve your goals. At Ernest Financial, we're committed to giving you the attention you need. We don't treat you like a number. You're way more important to us. At Ernest Financial, it's about helping you today and preparing you for tomorrow. People call us who are on the verge of retirement, and they know they need a plan for the future. No matter where you are in life, Ernest Financial will help guide your every step towards retirement. Give us a call and let us show you what our individual customer attention can do for your future.
Concerned about your retirement? Call David Ernest toll-free at 833-596-7233. That's 833-596-SAFE.
Hi, this is Jason with Wholesale Hunter. We've been advertising with Blue Water for a while now. We have great results with them. Appreciate everything they do with us.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
If your decision for new floors is based on brands and selection, wanting perfect and professional installation, or the kind of customer service that doesn't even exist at big box stores, obviously you gotta shop Prattville Carpet. But if you're looking for the lowest price, in that case, it's still Prattville Carpet. Because during their summer sale going on now, you can get tile, luxury vinyl plank, and carpet, all for just $1.39 a square foot.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Call us today for your free measurement. Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Welcome to Eclectic Coins, Montgomery's largest coin dealer, specializing in buying and selling investment-grade gold and silver coins. And they have a large selection of rare coins and coins from around the world. Visit them at 543 Northeastern Boulevard or on the web at eclecticcoins.com. Eclectic Coins, where collectors who know go.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Normally at about this time, we'd be talking to Austin Baranko with Invista Advisors, but I think he is busy, which is always a good thing to hear when he's, a sponsor of ours. Like to hear that our sponsors are busy. But if you're looking for great folks there who can help you plan out your long-term financial future, actually get together a financial plan, not just talking about it, not just thinking about it, saying, oh, honey, I'll get to it. I'll get to the life insurance. No, if you're looking for an experienced team, got to call up the folks there at Invista Advisors. As you've heard Austin on these airwaves over the years, they really know their stuff, especially on the investment side. But of course, it could be, hey, you've got all your money tied up in a small business, and at some point you're going to want to retire. Well, how can you make that transition and do it in a smooth way on your terms? You can help you with that. Like I just said, life insurance concerns, the end of life concerns, and a holistic across the board plan to make sure you're going to, well, be able to have a sound financial future. That's what Invista Advisors can do for you. Contact them today. Start the conversation at 387-0094. That's 387-0094. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. Let's go to Cameron. Hey, Cameron, how you doing?
Hey, y'all. I'm doing pretty good. Getting to listen to you guys as normal. It's a daily thing, you know.
Well, I appreciate that.
Hey, I know, and it's because it's good times. I live in Montgomery. I have a beautiful backyard because I'm homebound due to medical conditions. I've got my dog, my 1,000-year-old dog that sits out here with me. That's my care companion. And I listen to y'all speaking the truth over there.
Now, you said 1,000-year-old dog. What kind of dog you talking?
Thank you for asking for that. That was a tease. My dog is an Anatolian Shepherd.
Ooh.
You can look them up. They were a dog. Have you heard all the fuss about Gobekli Tepe?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Currently, yeah. The Gobekli Tepe was from Anatolia. The people went from Anatolia over there. So my dog, I got him here at the Montgomery Humane Society, of all places, is a purebred Anatolian Shepherd. So I have grandkids, and I taught them about genetics, that my dog is a 1,000-year-old dog because they trained him on the mountains of Greece to protect the livestock. And I'm sitting here with this beautiful animal who is my companion.
What a
Isn't that cool?
noble beast. I mean, and they can get up to about like 150 pounds. For folks who don't know, there's beautiful animals.
Well, you ought to see him. I go to the Shakespeare Park's dog park.
Mm-hmm.
This breed can almost match a greyhound as a breed trait.
Wow.
He is so fast, but he's gentle. He responds to vocal commands. It's amazing that genetics did that. And he looks after me. If I stand up, he will position his shoulder by my knee. He knows I'm unstable, and he'll walk with me and, take me out there, and he sits with me. And I work from home. So, and he just is my companion. I don't want to call him a service dog, but I kid you not. And he was a rescue. He had been abused by whoever turned him in, and he has been with me since then. And, we're going to be buddies however much longer either one of us has.
Well, I maintain dogs are better than most people, including myself. They're just wonderful, wonderful creatures. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Cameron.
Yeah, can I speak to your y'all were talking about it just a minute ago. I'm sorry, my memory just failed me. What were y'all talking
Immigration
about
issues, simpler days, or Trump being maybe in another life a flutist?
Yeah, I won't say anything about the flutist, but can I speak to immigration?
Sure.
Okay. I've had a very interesting life. Life's been good to me, and I was a consultant in Malaysia for a number of years. I had to, every year, I had to go before a board of very capable Malaysians, and they would grill me, and I had to prove that I was not taking a Malaysian citizen's potential job.
Huh.
But everybody was polite. Everybody was nice. And the way my project was constructed, we were actually bringing money in and training people in Malaysia, right?
Right.
But that's the way they run their country. You're a guest, and you have to ask to come in, and you have to agree. When my children were born in Malaysia, we got the certificate from the hospital, but then per practice, we had to go to the police station. It wasn't a crime, but the police station is the one that received and reviewed my case. And everybody was super wonderful, and they gave us the proper documentation, and then we ran over to the American Embassy. Our country doesn't understand immigration the way the world does it.
Oh, no.
And last thing.
Yeah.
Last thing. I fear for the future, sir. Without being a scaredy cat, we have people in our country that would kill to satisfy their inner self. I don't want to be ugly.
Oh, I know what you're getting at. There's some bad hombres, as Trump once said. Maybe I'll look into getting an Anatolian Shepherd myself for a little protection. I got to run, Cameron. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. 272-9228. Y'all hold your horses, because I believe we should have the mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed, here in studio in just a moment. Real quick, this part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And their River Region Contracting, Todd Clark and his team are ready to help you with that roof of yours. They're not associated with any other roofing contractor. Don't let anybody trick you. This is the real deal, the premier roofing contractor. Again, that's River Region Contracting with Todd Clark. And so, owning a home can be one of your most expensive and long-term investments, and your roof is a critical part of that investment. So whether you have an asphalt or a metal roof, it should be inspected on a regular basis. Why not do it annually? Because their inspections are always free there at River Region Contracting. If you do it on a regular basis, you're going to catch a problem early. If you do it, have a problem at all. And then, of course, they can set you up. If they do find an issue, with a free estimate, they will write that up for free. And they're insurance specialists, so they can walk you through, that claims process you might be dreading and make it a swift and easy experience. Y'all check them out today. Just call them up at 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. Mayor Stephen Reed after the break.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Tensions escalating between President Trump and California Governor Gavin Newsom as protests against immigration and customs enforcement continue to grip Los Angeles and have now spread to New York City, San Francisco, Boston, Austin, Texas, and other cities. President Trump says the U.S. will get magnets and rare earth minerals from China under a new trade deal, and tariffs on Chinese goods will go to 55%. The president said in return, the U.S. will allow Chinese students to attend American colleges and universities. Russian forces have launched a large-scale drone assault against Ukraine. The attacks overnight killed 3 people and wounded 64 others. The strikes caused widespread destruction in the northeastern city of Kharkiv. Stocks are higher. The Dow is up 238 points. This is SRN News.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-759-3413. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-759-3413. 800-759-3413. 800-759-3413.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. Man's best friend deserves nothing but the best, and that's what you'll find at MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville. They carry only the highest quality dog food brands for your best friend. MPM in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North. Open 8 to 5:30 on weekdays and Saturdays 8 to 2. Call Clint Smith at 334-361-8818.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our forecast is starting to look a little bit more routine for this time of the year. Still random storms around every day, but not as many on the radar. Look for a sun and cloud mix with some random storms around today and tomorrow, mostly in the afternoon and evening hours, and high temperatures both days right around 90, heat index getting close to triple digits, and lows at night around 70. Then look for another spike in the rain chances as we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They will be random but more numerous. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors & More is your low-price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors & More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. The Montgomery Zoo will host its 31st annual Military Appreciation Day tomorrow on June 12th. All active duty and retired military members, along with their dependent families, will be admitted for free. The event will run from 9 to 4 p.m. and also include lunch, drinks, and a free train ride for all guests. A second arrest has been made in the robbery of Jim Massey, owner of the Jim Massey chain of dry cleaning stores. 57-year-old Spencer Thomas of Prattville faces federal charges of armed robbery and carjacking. Jim Massey was robbed at gunpoint in his downtown Montgomery office on March 10th after being beaten and tied up by 4 masked men. An Alabama man convicted of killing a woman in 1988 was executed Tuesday night. Gregory Hunt was pronounced dead at 6:26 p.m. at Holman Correctional Facility in Atmore. Hunt was convicted of the brutal murder of 32-year-old Karen Lane in her Walker County apartment 35 years ago. Hunt had dated Lane for about a month before he beat her to death in a jealous rage. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. Recently, I met with 3 different owners of homes who had the same problem. They wanted to sell their house quick and sell it as is for cash. All 3 people were approached by different investors that said they had cash for their home, signed contracts, only to find out they were not personally going to buy their homes, but to find a buyer willing to pay more than they offered and pocket the difference. It's called wholesaling. Offer a contract to buy a house at a certain price, up to price to other buyers, and pocket the difference. I urge you, don't fall for it. You want to sell your home quick, use a licensed professional realtor, as I have been for 48 years, keeping promises to get homes sold quick. For all the details, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group at 221-2883 or 551-0225. Call Bo Goodson at 221-2883.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to the program. I'm your host, Joey Clark. And as promised, we have here right across the desk from me in our fancy renovated studio or something like that, we have the mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed. Mr. Mayor, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good.
Good deal.
Doing good. If what do you think in a world where Donald Trump could have been a flute player?
Yeah, I wouldn't see him being flute. I don't think he'd want to sit in that part of the orchestra or the band. I see him playing a different instrument.
Well, I was thinking of the scene. What is it? An Anchorman play the jazz flute, Mr. Burgundy? Yeah, that's how.
Back on that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that might have been a different alternate reality. Yeah. No, this has been brought up here or there, and I just want to see an update on it. What's the status of changing, if y'all are going to change it, the city flag?
We got a contest going, and I think we've had some good submissions, and I think it's a positive thing that the city council did, and I look forward to really seeing the ideas. Mississippi did this just a few years ago, and they have a real nice, colorful flag. I mean, it's really something you'd really like to show and share, and a lot of cities really have done it. Even we talked about even updating the seal and some of the branding stuff, because cities do that.
Oh yeah,
quite often, a lot more than we have around here. And so we've got some interesting artists and creatives who said they are going to submit or have already submitted. I haven't seen the list, but I look forward to seeing that list of designs once the contest closes out.
And so this is open to anybody who wants to come up with something, they're submitting it.
Now listen, that's a good one. I can't remember if it's just for residents or if it's just for anyone.
Okay, I see what you mean.
So check the fine print on that. But yeah, I think for us it's good to certainly we'd love to have a resident submitted and that be the design. I think if I were choosing, that's where I would go. But if there was a compelling design coming from somebody else, maybe who's from Montgomery but lives, another city and moved there because of work or family or whatever, I'd be open to that too. I just want somebody some ties from Montgomery.
Okay, so we're still in the process, and we'll see. Yeah. But this was initiated. It was a high school student kind of came with the idea.
Yeah, nice. Out of our Park Crossing, and a young man had a compelling argument and discussion around it, and look where we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, we often hear the kind of the not so good things when it comes to some young people, but again, we have a lot of good young people in our schools, public schools, independent schools, home schools, and I love for their good news to go a lot further than it does as opposed to just the bad news.
Well, and I guess my follow-up to that would be, how do we keep the young people? I'm not doing this to make an argument. I'm just talking about where I'm at in life. I guess I can, for the time being, consider myself young at 36.
Yeah, that's a good age. I remember that age.
Yeah, it's the age I always wanted to be without knowing it. I always thought I'm too young, and then I hit it about a year ago. I'm like, oh yeah, this is about where I always wanted to be, and it'll go away before too long. But right now I'm helping live with my grandfather, taking care of him. And I've talked to my brother. They just they're about to move to Nashville. I'm going to go do a trip up there. Once they move up there. And, my brother was very blunt, and it's not just him, it's very much his wife saying, we don't want to move back to Alabama in general.
Wow.
Maybe, in our 60s, we'll go retire in Auburn or something like I had an uncle do. But all my family's moved. My dad's moved to the coast. My grandfather's essentially my last tie here, like deep roots here.
Wow.
And so I'm wondering, like, what do I do? Yeah. And I'm almost would want to encourage you to try to sell the city for me. What sort of opportunity? Because it's not just me. There's a lot of folks.
Oh, no, that's every day. I've been talking about that since before I even got elected. Yeah. This game of cities is about talent, recruitment, and entertainment. It's no question about that. I mean, look where America was, 50, 60 years ago, and look at the towns and cities that had people then versus who has them now. I mean, you have to be in the recruiting game. I mean, I don't care what you are. People ask sometimes about, why are you traveling here? Why are you there? You have to sell. And one thing that Montgomery has not done is sell itself. We've seen Huntsville do that. We've seen Birmingham, Mobile do that. Montgomery has kind of remained, a small village, if you will, since even I was in high school and whatnot. And that doesn't work, because what you don't realize, while you think you're jogging and you're keeping pace, you're losing ground because other cities are running while you're still jogging, right? And so for us, when it comes to young people, we have not adapted to the economy that was needed to keep our young people here in the city, recruit young people to the city and to the area, and do the things that's necessary. We went a good decade or more without doing a major project after the city under the Bright administration, built Biscuit Stadium, which was one of those quality of place things. We come back in, we do Whitewater. We're going to do a convention center arena downtown. Had some other discussions about soccer. Those are things young people with options want to do. And the thing we realize now is that in the last 30, 40 years, people have been more transient in their careers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Prior to other generations. Everybody didn't just stay within 2 hours of where they live. So you're competing against other cities, other states. And I think those who keep up with this also realize that the state of Alabama has a problem recruiting and retaining talent. And we're seeing that because so many of the best students that come to our universities or come to the military are going back to the Carolinas. They're going back to Georgia, Texas, Florida, Virginia, Tennessee, as you mentioned. We've got to do better by keeping them here. And I think for us, our state leaders have to be aware of that. They have to be more proactive. We haven't been able to get a lottery passed we haven't been able to get a lottery passed at all. We haven't done many very big ideas statewide in a long time. South Carolina is doing them once every 5 to 7 years. We may do them once every 10. So that doesn't help cities. It doesn't help rural communities. It doesn't help anyone when you're not keeping up with, a Texas, if you will. And Texas continues to grow and swallow up towns whole that were, not part of a Houston metro area, Austin metro area, Dallas metro area. Now we're seeing that in Tennessee, right? Middle Tennessee, Nashville, growing just tremendously since COVID, adding about 75 people a day. I know the mayor there, know several council members there in Nashville. They can't keep up with the growth. I told them I'd like to have that problem. That's when I'd love to keep me up at night, as opposed to the things that keep me up at night now. So we've got to be more competitive as a city. Our schools, our public safety, our jobs have to be more in line with where people are. Our healthcare, when it comes to hospitals, if people can't get their kids who have special needs, or they can't have the type of healthcare they need in a reasonable proximity. It can't be everybody in the state goes to Birmingham.
Right.
That's not going to work for the state, and that's what's happening right now in a lot of cases. Then people say, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere where either myself, my spouse, my kid, or whomever, something happens, I know we're going to get taken care of, and I know we're going to have quality health care. All those things are parts of what makes cities and communities and states attractive. And I don't know if you have a guest or a caller who has done more reading on that in the last 5 years than yours truly. And we've seen the cities that have grown and why they're growing, and we see the regions and communities that are growing, and we know why those that aren't. And we want to be on the plus side of that, so that people like yourself and your family don't say, hey, I've never come back to not even Montgomery, but Alabama. That's tough to overcome.
Well, and I mean, there's a lot there, and I just want to double up on the Biscuit Stadium. I believe it was just announced they just renewed their lease.
Yep.
Another 15 years?
Yeah, another 15 years, cost several $1 million, but it was a commitment we made to them, again, in our Montgomery Forward initiative. So applaud the city council for their support of that then. Applaud this city council for being supportive of it now as it's being implemented. And it's important, but we can't stop there. That's why we had discussions this week about the expansion of the convention center and the building of a downtown arena. Got a meeting about it tomorrow. That's why we're talking about, soccer and pro soccer here. Those are things, along with outdoor trails, along with investments in parks and green spaces, that your generation and Gen Alpha now are looking for, right? And so we've got to make sure that we're building a city for who the next mayor is after Stephen Reed, who the next council is after this city council, and who the next business leaders are after the ones who are leading this community right now. We've got to think 10, 20 years down the line with our decision making, and that's really what guides us right now. What we've done from investing in public education in 2020 to even looking at what we do moving forward to be a more competitive city and region, because Montgomery is the heartbeat of Central Alabama, and if Montgomery's not healthy and thriving, then Autauga County isn't, Elmore County isn't, Macon, Lowndes County, go down the list, Crenshaw, Butler. You're not going to have healthy counties and healthy communities if Montgomery is not clicking on all cylinders. And I think economically, we've been doing that over the last several years, but we've got to diversify that and get into some white collar jobs.
Right.
We've got to bring more offices, more corporate reloads here. And we've got to make sure that with those come the partnerships and the type of support that's needed for all the things that really, really build or make a community what it is.
Well, and I was telling you off air, we had the chair of the county commission, Commissioner Singleton, on last week, and we reported last week, of course, to the council that approving with the $500K for the next 3 years, I believe.
Yeah.
For Whitewater. Part of that discussion is, the thing's built, and I hope it works. But I look at amenities, and we do need the Biscuit Stadium. We need the zoo to be tip top. We need all these different things. Like convention center sounds awesome, and Whitewater
We're doing
needs to work.
4.2 million in the zoo,
right?
As well. But go ahead.
But to me, that comes like we were just looking at those donuts out there. Like to me, some of this is like icing and sprinkles on top of the amenities. Come secondary to you need that profitable enterprise and economic base.
Yeah,
and it makes your amenities better, and it's sort of you get this synergy where everything's working in tandem. What is the plan for that economic base? How are we doing there? Like, I want the donut, I want the sundae before we throw the cherry on top or the sprinkles on top.
No, great. Now you're making me hungry.
Go to Smokehouse Pit Barbecue and visit Millbrook real quick.
All right, well, listen. All right, they got some good brisket.
Oh yeah.
All right, now you said, oh yeah, pretty quick. Now I'm gonna test their brisket. Now
they're good. They were here yesterday.
Everybody can fool you with pulled pork. Let me check your brisket, and I can tell you what type of barbecue place you really are.
Go check them.
All right,
they're good.
Okay. All right, all right, y'all. I'm coming. I'm just gonna be like the secret shopper. I'm just gonna pop in and see how that brisket is. But no, I think from a city standpoint, we want the region to grow. So one of the things your listeners may not know is we were the slowest growing region in the 2010s. All right. So we were behind South Alabama, the I-10 corridor in Mobile. We're behind the I-20 corridor in Birmingham and Huntsville. Right. So, when you look at the 2010s, someone say, okay, you had the recession in 2009, that sort of thing. But we didn't really do what was necessary coming out of that. And we didn't think bold, and we didn't go, deep for the long ball like some other cities did. We now are playing catch up in the state to some of our cities. So I'm watching what Mayor Stimson is doing in Mobile, and they're relocating the airport, and they're building a new civic center, right? I'm watching what Mayor Battle's doing in Huntsville, and I'm that type of competitive guy. I'm checking all the metrics in terms of what's happening, why it's happening, and I'm talking to our state leaders about what's drawing people there and what do we need to do to kind of pick up our game. I think in the last few years we've been able to do that. We had the best economic development year in the city's history in 2022, 2023. That said, that's still not putting us where we need to be. You have to do that, year over year to try to close the gap. And for us, I think one area for us to utilize is Maxwell Air Force Base and Air University and what we have there, but also our state government and our colleges and universities, leveraging that. Now, this is before Trump. I know you got a lot of Trump supporters here. That's going to hurt colleges and universities as things stand right now. May even hurt some of our programming with our federal partners in the Air Force. But prior to the last couple months, universities were probably one of your safest bets for research dollars and grants and development, bringing in and seeding entrepreneurs, seeding and supporting small businesses, right? Not everybody, nobody's really is Silicon Valley and so forth. So when you look at the Carolinas and what North Carolina became with the Research Triangle area, that's through federal dollars. That's through biomedical grants coming through the universities, which not only benefited the universities, benefited those cities and communities around them. Now for us, what we have to do is we have to leverage the colleges and universities we have here in Montgomery, the I-85 corridor, and Tuskegee University, and Auburn. And we have to figure out how do we go from this manufacturing base and build upon that, not move away from it, but how do we layer on top of that those type of knowledge-based economy jobs that bring in young people, that rebrand your city and bring in that type of energy and the type of income that helps our churches, helps our nonprofits, helps our civic groups, helps all of the things that we care about in this community. But guess what, folks? You can't do it if you don't have the population and if you don't have the profit that's coming from the types of businesses that you see in Huntsville, that obviously you see surrounding the UAB and the medical center in Birmingham. And for us, we've got to pivot, and we're doing that through our approach in the city's economic development office, building and supporting small businesses, but also selling the brand of Montgomery and not who we were 50, 60, 70 years ago, but who we want to be in the next 10 to 20 years.
Do you expect more? Like the Meta data center is a big deal. It's not.
It's huge.
It's not like a lot of jobs, but it is huge for all sorts of reasons.
It's a stamp of approval.
Yes.
Joe, I mean, that's the quickest way I can say it. People have asked, well, why do you get excited about that? Because when Meta invests, when Google invests, it's a stamp of approval and others come behind it.
That's the question. Do you think more are following behind it? And especially this, the AI race is picking up like crazy, and they're going to need a lot of power and a lot of processing center.
They do. And listen, and I know that that's a sensitive area for some, but for us, the good outweighs the bad. And it allows us to go after different types of projects and to get in some different conversations than we otherwise would have. And with those jobs, then come, again, more of the amenities that you're talking about. So when people are talking about restaurants, they're talking about retail and shopping, when they're talking about hospitality, those industries follow people, and most importantly, they follow money. And so for us, we've got to change the narrative around Central Alabama, and it can't just be from the city of Montgomery. It has to be a regional cooperation and partnership, and the state has to be engaged in that with us as well.
Do you think all the smaller towns around us, surrounding mayors, stuff, like folks are kind of on the same page that we need this general? We don't all have to have the same exact plan, of course. We're our own separate things, but we're all working together in a way.
Listen, the mayors in the surrounding communities know where the people work, right? And they work in Montgomery. So as we add jobs, somebody's going to want to stay in the city because they want to be close to the action. Somebody's going to want to be as far away as they can from the action, and then you'll have people who want to be in between. But again, it all revolves around people being in your city and coming to your region for jobs. That is usually the number one reason now in this country why people move. It's not because of emotional ties to this. It is because of jobs. It's because of their financial opportunity that they take those decisions, and then they decide, hey, we're going to keep it local or we're going to move and go somewhere else. So for us, again, we want to recruit talent in. We want to keep the talent that we have that's either born and raised here, or that's coming to get educated here, or that's serving in our military to consider staying here.
Now, one thing that's been on the top of my mind, especially since the big conference they had in Las Vegas, is Bitcoin. Yeah. And a lot of different speakers, it's amazing the amount of action and different firms now building up, and the Bitcoin treasury strategy and now lending strategies, yada, yada, yada. One thing I found interesting is the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, talked about bit bonds, which I guess the idea is 90% of the money goes to what you would normally do with a bond, but 10% of that bond goes to creating a Bitcoin reserve for your city. Have you looked into stuff like this, and how could we embrace at the city level? This might require the state. I've been hounding them like crazy to do something on this. They're dragging their feet, not surprisingly. What can the city do?
Listen, I think much like AI, if you're not talking about it and thinking about it as a leader of any entity, then we got to question your leadership. We absolutely have to think about where crypto is moving and how to leverage that. I've had those conversations probably 3 years ago. 2022, when it probably first came on my radar that some cities were getting into this space, and we've continued to talk about it. We tabled it probably for most of last year, and I guess even for this year. But I think it's something that between myself and our chief financial officer, we probably ought to bring back to the discussion, not only internally, but also with our council, because we've got to think, I hate to say this, but I really don't. We got to skip some steps, right? We've got to skip some steps if Montgomery is going to close the gap. And Bitcoin and crypto, they're risky, all right? But anything that is, worth the reward is going to carry some risk. And for us, I think to make up a little ground, that's an area that, again, having brought that up several years ago, that we probably should return discussions with. Because of our financial solvency, we're in a great place, and it may be that we can take a small amount out of the budget, out of our reserves, and invest it in this space to see what we get versus what we're getting just traditionally, because that for us could allow us to close the gap on some of our peer cities, and maybe to bring about some different opportunities we otherwise might not be able to finance from the city side.
Yeah, because I just whether, we can attract. I had Andrew Sorrell on Monday, and he was trying to convince more of the folks in the Tennessee Valley Authority kind of area, hey, y'all have extra water you just let spill up. Why don't you use that to Bitcoin mine for free, essentially? So it would be great to get on the miner side of the node side. But the value proposition to me, just to repeat it to the audience, I think you're aware of this, is if Bitcoin is essentially your backbone, your currency, your real money, your of last settlement in this new digital economy, that it looks like you're getting bipartisan approval for the most part. Not talking about Elizabeth Warren, but you're getting a lot of Democrats and Republicans agreeing on these crypto bills that are making their way through the Senate. I think Leader Thune just said it is mainstream, ready to go, or corporations adopting it. So if Bitcoin's the backbone of this new digital economy, it would be great to be early to the party. And I think that does close that gap.
Listen, let me say this, and I got a lot of respect for young Boozer as well. But I think, our state treasurer, I think cities have to consider that things are changing so fast around us that when you're in a place like Alabama is, and you're in a place like Montgomery, you've got to think kind of non-traditional if you're going to be able to provide the types of services and the type of support that our residents and our citizens not only want but need. And this is a topic that is really fascinating and has been since I first learned about it a few years ago. But more importantly, I think how cities are leveraging it and how local and state governments are leveraging it, really, I think in the next decade is going to separate again those cities and those states that leverage it in a positive space with positive outcomes, understand what the risk may be. It's going to separate those from the ones that did not, or just said, we just keep doing what we have been doing, and you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Now, another thing that's on the edge and maybe risky, we'll see if it plays out. We're not going to be the test city, but you're already seeing videos of these robo-taxis, the Teslas driving around Austin, no driver.
Waymos.
And Waymos too. Yeah, the Google product. Would you entertain something like that if, say, Waymo or Tesla was like, hey, we can set up a robo-taxi service there? And I'm thinking too of like older folks that, need to get around, these sorts of things.
100%. I've already done that with Waymo.
Awesome.
So they're in Atlanta. That was their first city in the Southeast. I get that. And I said, well, we want to be the second. We know that there are challenges for us around mobility in this community. And I would absolutely want us to do that. And that's why I took the time and the audience that I had to say, you know what, why not, provide us with 10? And let's just see how this works in the mid-sized city. All right, you've got your big boy cities. I understand that. Now, there's still some things we have to do infrastructure-wise, but I think we're capable of doing that. And so 100%, you've got to embrace, technology, and you got to embrace where things are going with autonomous vehicles. That may be the case even with our transit system.
Okay.
And so those are things that, for us, we got to be thinking, again, down the line to try to make up a little ground as a community from our perspective in order to make sure people really, really see us as a city that's moving forward and not just one that's resting on its past.
Yeah, and with my understanding of Waymo, a little different than Tesla's, they do have to take the time to really map out and scan all your routes and all your areas. But Montgomery compared to Atlanta or Los Angeles is, I feel like ours would be a little easier even. Just our road network is not as complicated as these
It's not, but we've got some technical issues that are needed there. And they also want to go where they know the volume is, right? Atlanta's number one or number two convention city in the country.
Right.
So, people forget that. They think it's other places, but the airport, feeds conventions into Atlanta, which provides a number benefits there. Again, when people ask why are we talking about a convention center, because those are dollars that come from visitors, and we don't have to tax our citizens for some of those things. We get that revenue from people who are coming in and leaving right back out, and they're on the corporate dime. Those things help cities regardless of your size. But for technology and for where autonomous vehicles are going, my thing was that we went to the Waymo, I guess not the headquarters, but their fleet headquarters and saw the insides of them, saw how many people are working there, saw just it looked like just, I can't remember how many spaces or how many Waymos there were on this parking lot that they're sending out all across San Francisco. So for us, part of getting people to think about your city and your community in a different way is doing things differently and doing things that the marketplace doesn't expect, while making sure that you improve those things that are necessary and needed, that you're doing the other things too, to kind of be future forward on issues around transportation, issues around your digital economy, and other areas as well.
Well, I got to hit a break here. You got time for another segment?
I got time for a quick one.
All right. We'll be right back, folks. Right. More than mayor after this one.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
I'm Jim Smith with Adams Drugs, and what our customers say about our business is the most important advertising tool. I'm here with Ronnie Taunton, who is a longtime customer of Adams Drugs, moved away for 3 years, and came back to town recently. Ronnie, how easy was it to move your business back to Adams Drugs?
Jim, it was very easy. All we did was make a phone call to the store in Prattville. That's where we live now, and they took it from there, and I didn't do anything else.
What has your overall experience been like here at Adams Drugs?
Well, we are glad to be back with Adams. We've had quite an experience in some towns we lived in, and they have great service. You can tell that the employees are glad to be there to serve you, and I couldn't ask for any more. Whatever formula the Vinson family has, they need to keep it in a safe place because it's certainly working.
Come into any of our 12 Adams Drugs locations. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net to find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs is your independently owned Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
This is David Ernest from the Health and Wealth Show. We like to cut up and have fun, maybe poke a little fun at some politicians. But we don't take ourselves too seriously. One thing we do take seriously is your personal finances and your plans for retirement. You can tell by listening, we're a little different. Yeah, we like to have a good time on the radio, but we're dead serious about your financial future and helping you achieve your goals. At Ernest Financial, we're committed to giving you the attention you need. We don't treat you like a number. You're way more important to us. At Ernest Financial, it's about helping you today and preparing you for tomorrow. People call us who are on the verge of retirement, and they know they need a plan for the future. No matter where you are in life, Ernest Financial will help guide your every step towards retirement. Give us a call and let us show you what our individual customer attention can do for your future.
Concerned about your retirement? Call David Ernest toll-free at 833-596-7233. That's 833-596-SAFE.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation segment here, but we got a little time left. And honestly, Mr. Mayor, I'm trying not to repeat myself because we both know it comes back to education and crime.
Mm-hmm.
As a thought experiment, I asked this of Commissioner Singleton, and this is a bit provocative. Would the city and county do a trade of you have more of a metro police system and you have a city school system?
No, I don't think that. Listen, the city school system is interesting. I think it's a realistic possibility for us.
Yeah. In what time window?
I mean, I'd like to get in. I plan to pre-file legislation this year, so I would have to go to the school board the state school board to see how long it takes to, switch that over.
Right.
If it were to pass, but I think right now we've got a lot of support for that. Just got to work out the particulars. So I guess from my vantage point, it would be if things were to stay the same as soon as it can be implemented. It may not be next school year, right? Next school year is August. So you were talking about school year of, 2026. That would be great. It'd be ideal from my standpoint. But from a crime, position, I think our police officers are doing a great job. I think that we're, when you see a reduction of crime down about 30%, homicides are now down about 10%, just under 10%, 9.8 something or whatever it is. Robberies are down. Non-fatal shootings are down 18%. Robberies are down about 37%. That's because our men and women, broke up a robbery ring. I think have kind of fractured another one, and I think that's leading us to the main culprits behind it. So I think they're doing good work. I think working with the state and working with the county in the way that we have benefits everyone the way it is. And I think as we see our salaries and our benefits package get out there, we're starting to see more recruits coming in. Our classes now have been larger. Our application pool is bigger, and we're a lot more active in terms of recruiting even beyond Central Alabama. We're recruiting really the region. We were even beyond the state in terms of recruiting people and letting them know about the opportunities that the careers you have in Montgomery Police Department.
Yeah, Singleton told me that not just you, but any mayor would hate that idea.
He's right, bro.
Now, I want to shift this real quick because so much of the politics is national, and I do bring up constantly here on the airwaves, and I brought it up to you many a time. But why sometimes when I watch, say, Alabama Democrats, do I hear so much of the talking points of the national party? Whereas I think Alabama Democrats in particular could have a unique story to tell and maybe agenda to drive. And that's not to say there isn't all sorts of national talking points out of the Republicans in the state, but they're kind of dominant in that position. So, like, I look at the Democratic Party that seems a little lost in the wilderness for the moment. And is there a way maybe Alabama Democrats to get their own house in order, try a different thing? Just sometimes I hear from folks in the community, it's like some of the national stuff doesn't play very well.
Oh, I think that's an understatement, for sure. I think that the state Democrats have to figure out going into 26 what their priorities are going to be, what the message points are going to be, all of that. And I think they have to kind of think through, how you go about candidate recruitment, separating yourself, much like Democrats have always done really in this state and really throughout the South, from the national party. Even when it was, the great Tip O'Neill, the longtime speaker for the House from Massachusetts, it was we're Alabama Democrats, we're Yellow Dog Democrats, right? So you have to figure out kind of where your lane is to get back and winning local and state races, much less competing on the federal level.
Yeah, because I look at Newsom's speech last night, and I hear the election, the politics it's always ongoing.
Oh yeah.
And
well, listen, if it wasn't, Trump, I think, showed that you don't ever have to stop running. So if you're running, again, what used to be maybe a 2-year cycle is now a 4-year cycle. There's no question about that.
Well, the one guy in the state that and it just surprised me, started sounding like Art Laffer, was Anthony Daniels, big on the overtime tax cut, which I'm all for. Yeah. And I'm still upset with the speaker and so many folks over there didn't keep this going. It's like, cut taxes for working people.
Oh, I agree. But, the state hasn't always been in line with doing those kind of things for various reasons. And that was under Democratic leadership as well as
You've put it nicely.
leadership.
Various reasons.
Yes.
Well, I don't know how much time you have left. I don't want to steal too much of your time.
They're looking in here now because we were supposed to be heading back to City Hall.
Well, I appreciate your time as always, and we'll do this again next month. And there's always going to be new stuff coming up, but I do appreciate your time.
No, listen, thank you for the questions. Always good to come on with you. And like I said, we'll keep the good things going throughout the summer here in Montgomery.
Thanks, sir.
All right, thank you.
More after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Since 1966, Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches has been more than just a place to stay. It's been a place to belong. For children facing hardships through no fault of their own, our ranches provide more than shelter. We offer a warm home, a loving family, and a future filled with hope. With open arms, we welcome these young hearts, giving them the love, structure, and guidance they need to heal, grow, and thrive in a warm Christian environment. Together, we can give Alabama's children the chance they deserve, a chance to dream, to succeed, and to feel truly cherished. Every donation stays within Alabama, directly impacting the lives of the children who need it most. Join us in making a difference. Visit AlabamaSheriffsYouthRanches.org. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and download our app from your app store. We'd be honored to have you as a part of our mission to lift up Alabama's youth. And remember this, it's easier to build boys and girls than to repair men and women.
It's only one day only. PSC Equipment in Raymer is having their biggest clearance sale ever. They must make space for incoming new arrivals. Saturday, June 14th, no reasonable offer will be refused on all in-stock inventory. Cattle, horse, livestock, and equipment trailers by Good Guys, Viper, Duralite, and even a Rising enclosed trailers. Used tractors, new Solus tractors, industrial, commercial, and farming equipment, skid steers, excavators, side-by-sides, and yes, we have on-site financing available. Plus, we not only sell, we buy and trade too. Be at PSC Equipment Saturday, June 14th for prizes including $500 cash, $500 store credit, even a family vacation, and they'll even feed you from the Choo Choo food trailer. One day and one day only. PSC Equipment's biggest clearance sale ever. Saturday, June 14th from 7:30 until the last customer is served. PSC Equipment, Troy Highway in Raymer, near Sykes and Kahn.
Hi, I'm Jane Ray, account executive with Blue Water Broadcasting. Why should you advertise with us? Radio is an active medium. It can create immediacy, driving shoppers to a specific store, brand, or to take a specific action. Radio ads engage with the audience in a personal and unique way. Contact me, Jane Ray, by going to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our forecast is starting to look a little bit more routine for this time of the year. Still random storms around every day, but not as many on the radar. Look for a sun and cloud mix with some random storms around today and tomorrow, mostly in the afternoon and evening hours, and high temperatures both days right around 90. Heat index getting close to triple digits, and lows at night around 70. Then look for another spike in the rain chances as we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They will be random but more numerous. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Hey, this is Peaches and Clean, Powerful Carpet Cleaning. If you have area rugs and oriental rugs that you have been delaying cleaning, give us a call at Peaches and Clean. We offer free pickup and delivery in the Montgomery Tri-County area, or check us out at peachesandclean.com.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Appreciate the mayor being on. Before I forget, this entire hour brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And if you're looking to buy a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, but you don't have to be a first-timer. Could be you used some big bank before, some internet company, and you didn't have a great experience. Well, why not go with great local folks you can trust that will get you the best possible deal, and they'll walk with you every step of the way from pre-approval all the way to closing day. That is Alabama Home Mortgage. And of course, if you're looking to refinance, especially if you're a veteran, they can help you out, whether you're looking to get debt off your back, especially these very expensive interest rates on credit cards these days, or it could be you're looking to reinvest in your property, looking to bring down monthly overhead costs, especially if you're close to or already in retirement. And again, if you're a veteran, they know the latest with the VA home loan programs there at Alabama Home Mortgage. They can help you get the best possible deal. So check them out today. You can always apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com or just give them a call, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. So shifting gears here. Occasionally, witnesses in front of the Congress are brought up and they become a punching bag. In particular, CEOs of certain businesses. They become a punching bag because it's just so easy. I don't know if she's trained on the heavy bag, but she knows exactly what she's doing here. We have Senator Katie Britt talking to the CEO, I believe the head of 23andMe. Y'all know that company, right? And she is about to take 23andMe to task for some silliness when it comes to, well, the gender fluid idea. Let's listen in to Senator Britt, see what this is all about.
Text for sex?
You know, as part of our testing, we do identify if the DNA showed that the...
Hold on. Let's go back. The beginning of the clip is a little provocative.
And so do you text for sex?
Do you test, or did she text? Test. Do you test for sex?
You know, as part of our testing, we do identify if the DNA showed that if the individual is male or female.
And male is XY chromosome?
That is correct.
And female XX?
Correct.
On your database, though, you go into saying that if people self-identify of another gender, that you will attempt to give them a prognosis of the gender that they identify with versus the gender that they test for.
Senator, I'm not aware of that.
Oh, yeah, you do. So it says...
and this is Joseph Savage or something. And we got about 2 more minutes left in this. You can already tell she's ready to rip him a new one. Let's keep going here.
We understand that sex is not always binary, and the words male and female may not accurately reflect an individual's identity. We also recognize that being categorized by birth sex may be an uncomfortable or triggering experience to some, and we do not mean to delegitimize anyone's gender identity or expression. We use your self-reported sex to customize your health and trait reports. For example, genetic risk and what they may mean differ between men and women. So men and women are different, right? I mean, you say that here. We just talked about the genetic testing, but then you go on to say, if you tell us you're a female, your reports will contain information that is relevant to genetic females XX. If you tell us you're male, your reports will contain information that is relevant to genetic males XY. Additionally, there are some sex-specific reports that are available on individual selected profile sex, such as male hair loss or bald spot. That's because either we're not able to build out an acceptable model for both genders, or because the trait is actually sex specific. And so I guess I'm wondering, did you test, like if it's a genetic female that identified to you as a male, would you test them for male pattern baldness?
Senator, you know, we, as you mentioned, we actually the customer does report to us, you know, what they believe their sex is, and we test against that as well as what we found in the...
Wait, hold on. if I could put my spin on this, as far as I know, I am a genetic male. But let's just say I feel like I was born in the wrong body. I wake up tomorrow morning, I've undergone an identity crisis. You know, there were signs all along. There's signs for years. And I just repressed it. I just tamped it down. I just repressed it. And finally, I'm out with it. I feel like a woman. It probably means I am a woman. So if I sent my genetic code, if I sent my DNA, if I spit in something and sent it to this creep, Joseph Cell Savage, and his company, and I'm genetically a male, could I then request of 23andMe, tell me all about my vagina? I mean, Senator Britt was being polite talking about male pattern baldness. If it's a genetic female. But can you tell me about... This is absurd. Like, how many of y'all spit in something and sent these creeps your stuff and paid them money to examine your spit? I hope it was spit.
Thing as well.
I think probably the DNA is what's best for predicting actual future disease or harm or what may come, good or bad, for the individual.
Yeah, I think that's about... What an amazing clip. No wonder this guy's a punching bag. Well done, Senator Britt, but dadgum. What a screwy company. And I guess you can humor people and make money off of them by selling them nonsense. I mean, there's a whole other, like, aspect of the 23andMe thing. Like, what are you actually using all these personal, say, DNA samples? What are you actually doing with that stuff? Oh, just telling people, oh, you were part Neanderthal. Oh, look, I'm a little bit African, so I get a pass. I can say it, right? No. What a mess. You know, of all the things in this world, you got people that specialize in genetic DNA testing telling women who feel like men that we can do a study for male pattern baldness. Or you have men who start feeling like women saying, tell me all about my vagina. What a world we live in. What a world. How about this? After that, I think I need to hit about a 30-second break and spit in the trash can.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
For reliable electrical services in Central Alabama, trust the experts at Crosby Electric. Crosby's licensed and insured electricians are ready to tackle any project for your home. From troubleshooting, repairs, to installing new lighting and preventive maintenance. And Crosby understands the need for quality service for small business. Crosby is big enough for the largest job, yet small enough to bring real value. Visit CrosbyElectric.com to schedule your service. Crosby, powering Central Alabama with excellence.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Michael Cohen from Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing today?
Hey, Joey, I'm doing great.
Good to hear. What's the score there today at Cohen's?
35-0.
Oh.
We had a nice customer that called up. I think we'd sold him a TV forever ago, and a little bit of Sonos here and there. He kind of pieced it together, and anyway, he needed to upgrade his TV because he was having problems. We tried to talk him through some resets for him. But anyway, he elected to have Michael Jackson come up there and put a new TV in, tidy up the wires. I think he got off of Dish Network, get those boxes out of there. And somehow he had a Bose speaker with a Sonos system, so that clearly does not work. And we took that down and made everything look really nice and gave his wife a nice big school on how to operate it, and life is good.
Well, I love hearing that. And you know how much of an audiophile I am, and like listen to an old great album or make sure that movie actually, like you want to watch the original Tombstone or Gladiator, you need it in that full like surround sound. You need all that action.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And it brings these things to life. Folks, if you want to learn more, you can always go to thinkcohens.com, but there's nothing like actually stopping by 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery. And of course, it could be a audio problem. Maybe you want a new TV, or maybe you're looking for a new grill, or the appliance side of the store with washer dryer units, new fridge, new range. They have it all there. And even if you're going to build from the ground up, say completely renovate the kitchen, they got your back in that regard. But you got to go see this stuff in person and meet these great folks at Cohen's in person. And they're open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And find Michael and be sure to tell him, I heard you on that radio show with Just Joey,
And Solo. So, but the other thing that we have going for us is that we're going to have the same price as all the big box stores.
Yep.
You know, so whatever they're advertising online, we'll match that if we're not already there. So it'll be an even playing field. Plus, you get to have better salespeople, and we're also going to stand behind the product and give you better service after the sale.
Well, I love it. Well, Michael, I appreciate it, man, and hopefully we'll do this again Friday with Eddie on board.
All right. Y'all come see us. Have a good day.
You too, sir. Final hour coming up. Troy Carrico in the studio with me, so I appreciate him being here. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Protest over federal immigration enforcement raids and President Trump's move to mobilize the National Guard and Marines to Los Angeles are spreading nationwide and are expected to continue into the weekend. U.S. inflation picked up a bit last month as higher prices for groceries and some imported goods were largely offset by cheaper gasoline, travel services, and rents. Consumer prices increased 2.4% in May compared with a year ago. That's according to the Labor Department. That's up from a nearly 2.3% yearly increase in April. Google offering buyouts to another swath of its workforce across several key divisions in a fresh round of cost-cutting, coming ahead of a court decision that could order a breakup of its internet empire. It's not clear how many employees are affected. This is SRN News.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show here. And when it comes to mortgages, I only trust the team that's helped me and my family more than once, Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. These guys are friends, believers. They built a company on biblical values that actually puts you first. In today's economy, with everything costing more, you need a lender who can help you make smart strategic moves when it comes to real estate. Need cash for home improvements? Thinking about a HELOC or a refi to consolidate debt? Well, Fellowship Home Loans can help you do it faster and for less. Why? Because they're a direct lender, not a broker. No middleman, no unnecessary fees. That means fewer hoops, less waiting, and real answers from real people who care. Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or just exploring your options, Fellowship Home Loans will tailor everything to your unique needs. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by MPM Feed and Seed. Man's best friend deserves nothing but the best, and that's what you'll find at MPM Feed and Seed in Prattville. They carry only the highest quality dog food brands for your best friend. MPM in Prattville, 1313 Highway 31 North. Open 8 to 5:30 on weekdays and Saturdays 8 to 2. Call Clint Smith at 334-361-8818.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Our forecast is starting to look a little bit more routine for this time of the year. Still random storms around every day, but not as many on the radar. Look for a sun and cloud mix with some random storms around today and tomorrow, mostly in the afternoon and evening hours, and high temperatures both days right around 90. Heat index getting close to triple digits, and lows at night around 70. Then look for another spike in the rain chances as we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They will be random but more numerous. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE's 25 and 25 has you covered. For just $25 in closing costs, you can tap into your home's equity. No hidden fees, no headaches, just extra cash. Visit your local ASE Credit Union branch today. Federally insured by NCUA, NMLS 420259. Terms apply.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
ASE, an equal housing lender.
1819 News.
The state of Alabama has executed a death row inmate. That happened on Tuesday night at the Holman Correctional Facility in Atmore. Gregory Hunt was put to death by nitrogen hypoxia. This is now the 5th execution by the state using the method that was first implemented at the start of 2024. Hunt has been on death row for the 1998 murder of his girlfriend, Karen Lane. Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall pointed out that Hunt has spent more time alive on death row than his victim lived before she was brutally beaten to death at the hands of Hunt. Karen Lane was 32 years old at the time of her death. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Some of the greatest blessings is just having people that care about you, to have someone that's just going to love you and make you feel important. They encourage you to be in church. They encourage you to be in prayer. They encourage you to be in your Bible. Now it's a part of my day every day. My house parents planted seeds in me that you can see where those seeds have sprouted in my life and helped change my life.
Big Oak Ranch, a Christian home for children needing a chance.
2 people are now being charged with attempts to smuggle in prison contraband at the Easterling Correctional Facility in Barber County.
And so do you text for sex?
With a canine unit tracking down the 2 trespassers. Ronnie Black and DeAndre Sanders are now facing charges of drug trafficking, promoting prison contraband, and trespassing. Authorities seized 38 grams of cocaine, 230 grams of meth, and 10 grams of fentanyl. Governor Ivey recently signed a bill into law that provides more protection to canine units that are working within law enforcement agencies. The new state law provides these canines with the same level of emergency medical services and transport as a human officer. Canine units are often the first within a danger zone that puts their life at risk. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
It's Johnny from Sinclair's from Bond Road. We've been in business almost 30 years.
Sinclair's East, Vaughn at Taylor.
I think if you hadn't tried us, you should give us a try. We've got a great menu, offered anything from chicken fingers, wings, salads, fajitas. At lunchtime, we do great country lunch with different vegetables and different meats every day.
Sinclair's, where you get great sandwiches and our daily meat at 3 special at lunch, to great pasta, chicken, steaks, and seafood for dinner.
Our most popular items are, we got a soup called she crab soup, which is extremely popular. We've got a bunch of pasta dishes, which people love. Mediterranean chicken is my favorite.
Sinclair's.
We do live music, light stuff on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then on Fridays and Saturdays, maybe 3-piece bands or 4-piece bands.
Come see why Sinclair's has seen lesser restaurants come and go over the years. Johnny Sullivan's Sinclair's at the corner of Vaughn and Taylor. Find them on Facebook at Sinclair's East. Google search Sinclair's Restaurant. Sinclair's.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back, and joining me in the studio now we have Troy Carrico. Hey, how you doing today?
I'm better than I deserve. What's up, brother?
Oh, I mean, life is good. I suppose it's more just like trying to get through this period. Like I'm worried about all these like riots. Do we have to watch what we watched in 2020 all over again?
You know what? It looks like it, and you know, it kind of, when you compare and contrast, it's almost like apples and oranges. When you look at some of the stuff going on now, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's also refreshing to see like the fun stuff in life.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught this earlier in the show.
Which one?
Trump being asked about what he might have been, but I don't think his father was very eager to entertain this particular talent that Trump had.
Let's see what he does.
You
know it's going to be a gem if he's talking.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've caught this, but here it is.
Did you ever play an instrument?
I played, like, for very short periods of time, the flute. Would you believe that?
Did you like it?
I had flute lessons. It's the first person that's ever asked me that crazy question. Yeah, I had flute. Can you believe it? I could have been a flutist. And I didn't particularly like it. I don't know. It wasn't for me. And my mother had me with, I had instructors, an instructor come in to teach me how to play the flute. Can you believe that? Who would think?
I can't imagine it.
An unusual instrument.
You could maybe still do it.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
I want to see
He's probably
that.
pretty much the best that he knows of. Really, he's
Right.
what he should say.
I'm the
right?
best at
at fluting. Actually, a fife. I'm thinking more like the Spirit
Right.
of '76.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah.
We
Yeah,
can
we can
dress
do
him
more
up in
old
some
school.
colonial gear. Yeah.
And now here's a little more serious. Being asked about like how does he always pull these things off? Like how are you so confident in your own judgment, sir? Well, let's listen in. You're asking Trump, why are you so confident? I've got a feeling he's got an answer.
Like, how are you so confident in your own judgment that you will go against the grain?
Because I've had success. You know, when you have a lot of success, I've had a lot of success, no matter what. I mean, in the real estate business, I did great. I go into show business. I have The Apprentice. I didn't do anything else. I mean, I had The Apprentice, which was big. I did #1 best-selling books.
Yeah.
You know, you have a certain success, even though there's somewhat different fields and everything else. And after a while, you feel that you're going to be right about something. And the nice part is you can do it through conviction. You know, you really believe it. And if you believe it, makes it a lot easier. But so I don't think I'm a rebel. I just feel that I want to do things the way I did them. Even you take a look at what we're doing in Washington, D.C. with everything. You know, I'm doing something that's a little unusual. For 150 years, they've wanted to build a ballroom at the White House.
Yeah.
I'm good at building ballrooms. I'm good at building, period. But I'm good at building it. So we've never had a president that would understand it. And it's a little complex because, you know, the site and everything else. And I'm going to gift the White House the most beautiful ballroom you've ever seen. We're working on it right now.
When will that be
A lot of
finished?
people wouldn't sort of say,
No.
let's do it. They've wanted it for 150 years. You know, when they have somebody like the head of China or they have the head of France or the head of some country come, they use a tent. They put a tent up, and if it's raining, you're in deep trouble. We're going to have a beautiful ballroom. And I'll maybe,
How long will that take? Will it be done before you're
I'd
finished?
say 18 months.
Wow.
Maybe 2 years.
So have you ever doubted yourself? I've seen videos of you when you were quite young and you were still very self-assured and confident. Were you like that from your earliest memories as a little boy?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's not. I don't think of it like that. I don't even think about it. I just do whatever I want to do, and I just, I seem to be able to get it. Remember where they said Trump was right about everything on the hat? It's a very big set. Trump was, and if you look at the wars and
Elon
all the
used to
different
wear that.
things,
Yeah.
Elon agrees with it.
Yeah.
Okay, he still agrees with it. Trump was right about everything. A lot of it's common sense.
Yeah.
And it's not anything, it's a conviction I have, it's a feeling I have. But a lot of things, a lot of life is common sense.
Oh, amen to that.
You know, I can't help it. I've said this before. When I watch him now versus his first term, he is like an elder statesman now. He's more confident. He's more certain in what he's saying and what he's believing, and he's projecting that will. I think that's refreshing.
It is refreshing. Look at this.
What we got?
I'm looking at 1819news.com.
What happened?
There's a story that came out after 2:00.
What happened?
Former Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs Commissioner Kent Davis sues Ivy.
Oh yeah.
Over firing.
Oh yeah.
Now, I will say I have not been a fan of a lot of Ivy's decisions, especially having to do with the Admiral.
Yeah.
Did you see the new dog?
Oh yeah.
She got a first dog,
Big deal.
Huntley.
Big deal. That's
Yeah,
a big deal,
I
yeah.
support Huntley 100%. A good old blonde lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool with me. But here, how about I just read this story
Why
real
don't
quick?
you? No, I could speak to it. Yeah.
Caleb Taylor at 1819news.com wrote this up saying former Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs Commissioner Kent Davis filed a lawsuit against Governor Kay Ivey on Wednesday in response to his termination last year. Davis filed the federal lawsuit in the Middle District of Alabama. The lawsuit in part states Ivey's actions surrounding the termination of Davis was unconstitutional, retaliation for his ethics complaint against a member of Ivey's cabinet, and defamatory. Ivey used her alleged supreme executive authority to fire Davis in October of 24. The ADVA commissioner reports to the State Board of Veterans Affairs. Ivey had called two special called meetings to try to remove Davis by a board vote. Ivey maintained the ADVA mishandled ARPA funds. An SBVA committee approved a report at a meeting on October 9th stating Davis and ADVA did nothing wrong with the funds.
Yes.
Oh, it's all coming back to me now. Davis filed an ethics complaint in August at the request of SBVA members against Alabama Department of Mental Health Commissioner Kim Boswell for allegedly preventing ADVA from obtaining $7 million in ARPA funds. The Alabama Ethics Commission later dismissed the complaint. Davis's constitutionally protected speech was encompassed in an official ethics complaint filed with the Alabama Ethics Commission and in other forms of speech. Those items of constitutionally protected speech regarded matters of public interest and concern, specifically including, but not limited to, his criticism of the Alabama legislature's cuts to the GI Dependent Scholarship Program, his criticism of the legislature's general lack of support for veterans' mental health programs, his criticism of false criminal allegations by Representative Ed Oliver directed at the quality of care in our state veterans' homes, his criticism of the legislature for not providing more ARPA funds, opioid settlement funds, or general fund dollars to address critical problems with veterans' mental health, and his criticism of Defendant Ivey for never having visited a single one of the 70 facilities statewide overseen by ADVA.
Wow.
This is all written up by Kenneth Mendelson, Davis's attorney.
That's right.
This came out. Said speech played a substantial part in Ivey's decision to unlawfully terminate Davis from his statutorily appointed position of commissioner of the ADVA. Ivey was not legally afforded the discretion to fire Davis and was, in fact, prohibited by law from firing him. Again, this is the lawyer making the argument here in this complaint. Ivey's actions were for her own personal and vindictive reasons and were willful, malicious, illegal, fraudulent, in bad faith, beyond her authority, and or at the very least under a mistaken interpretation of the law. An actual and justiciable controversy exists between the parties with respect to the legality of Ivey's purported termination of Davis. On the one hand, Davis claims that pursuant to the Code of Alabama 3156, he could only be terminated by the SBVA, the board, for cause which the SBVA voted not to do. On the other hand, Ivey claims that she had the supreme executive power to disregard the law and Davis's constitutional rights to terminate Davis. This count requests that the court settle and afford relief from uncertainty and insecurity with respect to rights, status, and other legal relations between the parties. Now, you and I both know this story very well, you especially. And I was told that the Admiral is not going to be quiet about this. I mean, months ago.
There's a press conference scheduled here at 1500 at 3 p.m. At Ken Mendelson's office. I'll be going there right afterwards. Here's the takeaway, Joey. It's in federal court, not state court, which means all the counts then can be adjudicated by the federal courts. And we have some pretty good intel that there was a prominent individual that's close to the Ivey administration that said they are very, very concerned about what's about to happen because there is potentially some criminal things that could come of this. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't specialize, especially in this say chapter and verse of the law, but it does seem telling, and this is just a dumb layman's take, that if you tried to fire them by getting the board to remove them and they refused
3 times
and
3
also
times.
said, hey, we didn't do anything wrong with the funds, and then all of a sudden you just say, you pull it out of your backside, hey, I got supreme executive authority.
I was there on the final vote, the third and final vote, when he won, and within a half an hour the state police were escorting him at his house, getting his gear. It was just she doubled down, and I hear that some of that double down was personal, and her staff advised against not doing it, but she did it anyway because she's petty. So
wow.
Yep.
Well, so it begins. This is just the initial filing.
Just the beginning. Yeah.
And so this could, you're thinking, lead to something even more.
There is talk from his counsel that there are potentially a couple criminal counts that can come of this. The most important is going to be the first. Well, there's 2 really. I think it's critical. Count 1, which is on him, basically a constitutional civil right being violated. As a whistleblower, you're afforded freedom of speech, and then she basically we have evidence, and there will be more on communications that's why she wanted him gone, because he spoke out and talked about the ARPA funds missing. Number 2, defamation. Andrew Jones, Ledbetter, there's a lot of people that talked trash to the press, and that's going to be coming home too on the defamation. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to find themselves liable for what they said against the admiral in public thoroughfares. So we'll see.
Well, that's a tough one, because you have to, in defamation, what is the standard? Actual malice?
Yeah, it's malice. Yeah, it's malice, and then you have to show harm. But of course, they could say the truth is my defense. But listen, you and I both know that he was, in my opinion, was railroaded. And what's crazy about it is that he was exonerated by the ethics investigation and said, you've done nothing wrong. Carry on, do your work. And she doubled down after that too. So I don't know. It's just, I guess when you're absolutely powerful, then it absolutely corrupts you. This executive supreme privilege is just an extension of her thought process of I do what I want when I want, and you'll like it.
You know, if I'm remembering my interview with Admiral Ken Davis, the money being pulled, the $7 million, it was just kind of out of the blue. Like they did, there was no good explanation. They're like, oh no, we didn't set it up.
Right. Well, the way it worked is they did not have a contract vehicle at ADVA, so they used ADMH mental health to facilitate that. Well, come full circle, apparently Boswell did not like the direction they were headed in open contracts. And I have reason to believe she has her skids greased over there, who she wanted in, who she didn't want in the bidding process. And you can't do that. That is against the law. At the federal level and state level, tampering with the process of request for proposals and things of that nature. And that's really where it comes from. We also have, and I'm just going to speculate here, this is purely me, I have reason to believe that some of that money was put and parked into another matching fund for LGBTQ, and they got matching funds from the Biden administration. But we'll find that out in our discovery.
Well, and again, the press conference about all this, this release, it'll be at 1500 or 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock for you civilian pukes. Yep.
Now, as a civilian puke, I'm interested in this, but you're the one with the experience. Number one, what did you think of Trump's speech there at Fort Bragg, and also like renaming these bases back to their original names, and also this big upcoming, I think Tim Kennedy, like the Army's 250th birthday, this parade. So what's your take on all this happening?
You know, the the press is trying to spin it that he's like Putin. He wants a little parade and all that.
Yeah.
This is a 250. This is a very important milestone for the U.S. Army and the Continental Army and the founding of it. So it is completely, I think, good for him to do. People are going to say, oh, it's his ego. It's his ego. No, it's not. This is about celebrating our strength. And I like the fact that he got back to normal again, because as he said it best, we've won a lot of wars out of these bases under that name. And I thought that was clever.
Well, and just the reaction from the crowd. They usually with these speeches, you often see the service members are a little reserved, but They were getting quite animated,
That's
dancing along with them.
That's 18th Airborne Corps. Those are hard chargers there. That's the Dragon's Head. They're good. They're good dudes and girls.
So, like, you don't see any issue, and I don't, but I'm just doubling down on this. You don't see any issue with having this big parade. It seems like it's
great.
honoring people.
No, listen, it is. It's honoring the lineage. It's no different than the Marine Corps' birthday. It's no different than any other birthday. And the thing is, he is, I think, using this as an in the time of uncertainty, as we look at the news, he's trying to say, hey, there's good things going on, and here is our center of power, the Army. So
now with recruiting, it's way up.
No, yeah, it's unbelievable.
And I think they're like at that birthday, there's going to be like a few hundred re-enlisting.
This is true.
Why do you think they're recruiting so up? Because the turnaround is drastic and quick here.
The culture's changed. The cultures went back to being war destroyed. If you listen to the podcast I did with Brian Dawson, my big takeaway was when we were nation builders, morale was terrible. When we're nation destroyers, that's what we were trained to do, to put steel on target, find and fix the enemy, and destroy them. And that culture is back prevalent again. And that's very important, because here's the deal. Recruiting is half the battle. You've got to retain the people after you train them. And a lot of people were getting out. And that's brain drain. That's a lot of experience and technology and all that gone, training. So it's, as I said before, Pax Americana is right here, right in front of us.
Well, and it sounds like a lot of folks didn't like being treated as though they're a social experiment. Like, and here's all the latest jargon and lingo you must use, and we're gonna seminar you to death with getting all the discrimination or any prejudice out of you, and you need to know how to use the right language and whatnot. And if you push back, you might very well be extreme, especially those of you that refuse the vaccine. Like, and it just. But I think you had a deeper point that when I wrote about this a year or two ago. I can't remember the guy's name I came across who had studied it, but it really was. It comes back to the veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan and that the whole post 9/11 era, where you have a lot of guys coming back. I mean, like yourself, where you're like, the politicians did us wrong, and they don't really seem, some of them at least, don't really seem to care about us.
Well, you know, and Joey, I've said this before, and I can't overemphasize what I'm about to say. The privatization of war was a major paradigm shift for us in a negative direction. When Halliburton, KBR, Kellogg Brown Root, and Cheney and Rumsfeld started contracting everything out, it became very convoluted, and it became a profiteering military-industrial complex piece of the puzzle. And now we're getting back to the basics. We're getting back to being agile, hostile, mobile, and with ass-kicking violence, as I say all the time.
Did you see, just a quick clip, that for the first time AI beat human drone pilots?
I did see that, yeah.
Ooh.
Listen, it's coming. It is already here. And, you know, I want to say this because I'm about to do a expose story on Cinco, our good friend.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this to everybody listening. That gear that is parked over at Danley Field is extremely vulnerable, has no real protection. There's no ground sensors, to my knowledge. There's no anti-drone systems there. If you wanted to destroy billions of dollars of critical equipment, I think it would be easy.
Well, and
so we better figure it out, Joey.
Well, and we keep saying that, look at the Ukraine-Russia theater. It is an example of how war, speeds up technology.
Absolutely.
And that attack on, part of, Russia's bombers, nuclear, that could be replicated.
So Cinco says it best. He's what I call an 18-pound brain in the Air Force. He's a thought leader. He's a change agent. He says that our doctrine has not changed since the Gulf War. We believe that we have sanctuary safety at our bases. That's not the case. They can reach out and touch us now.
Right.
And we have to adjust for that.
Well, and you called him right after I played, I think it's the head of NATO, saying, look at how much the Russians are producing, in particular your hypersonics. It's now minutes. They could hit any European capital
that quick.
Yeah. So and they could hit, what is it, the big base in Germany?
Ramstein. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, well, number one, that'd be very foolish for the Russians to do that, but they have that capability, and that's the issue. Whereas, what did he say? That what Russia can produce in 3 months, it takes us a year.
Well, I would like to think that. Okay, so when we had this first problem with procurement, Letterkenny Arsenal in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, produces most of our heavy artillery, 155, 105. They have tripled their output, but that's not enough. We need other facilities producing. And you're right, it is, because here's the deal, Joey. How much do we have on hand should the balloon go up with China? It's going to take a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to take a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
So,
well, and maybe you'll lean into new technologies that are a little cheaper and very effective.
And I know that DARPA has some very neat counter drone stuff going on. And one of the things I think that on which you need to be watching for is what's the next evolution in that doctrine of that. And I think you're going to see a lot of swarms and things of that nature, defensively and offensively.
Well, we'll see. And I keep saying those words. We'll see, but
it's moving exponentially. It really is.
It's pretty crazy. I know you got to get out of here soon, so to make that press conference.
Yeah, I want to get over there at 1500. But I just want to tell you thank you, and it will be posted. It's available now. You can see the complaint, all 70 some pages of it with 9 counts.
Yeah, if you go to 1819news.com, folks, you can read the write-up, but they're on Scrib. They have the whole document, the whole complaint that is filed that you can read for yourself. And this is just, well, we've only just begun, to quote the song.
That's right. And the bottom line is it's going to get very interesting. Will they let her be deposed? I don't think so. So we'll see.
So I guess we'll see each other this upcoming Monday?
Yeah, I'll be here Monday.
Awesome.
I'll have a new flag for you. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Okay, my brother. Thank you, man.
We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
No one wants to wait on service for an overhead door. With 20 years in the industry, you now have access to the best with All Access Overhead Door. All Access Overhead Doors offers prompt professional service at affordable prices on all service and new garage doors for residential and commercial locations. All Access Overhead Doors serves the river region and can take care of whatever you need when it comes to your overhead door. Remember, you have access to the best. All Access Overhead Door. Call and schedule an appointment today. 320-2440. And like them on Facebook. They sell the best and service the rest.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, you will immediately see the difference in pricing. Not only do we offer the most competitive rates, but our closing costs rank among the lowest in the industry. How do we do it? Because we can. We do not have the overhead that big banks and lenders do. Those big banks and lenders have big expenses. And what do? They pass those expenses along to you. Meanwhile, here at Alabama Home Mortgage, we receive wholesale rates which result in big savings that we pass along to you. Don't pay more for less. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our rates and pricing are just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-368, Equal Housing Lender.
Pizza Perfect is knocking it out of the park in June. This month, get $2 off any medium pizza and $4 off any large. Now, that's what I call a deal. Pizza Perfect is known for their all-you-can-eat buffet that includes pizza as well as spaghetti, breadsticks, salad, dessert, and drink for only $13. The buffet is available Monday through Saturday for lunch, and they're open for dinner on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. For a to-go or takeout order, call 244-7721. Pizza Perfect in Eastbrook.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Earnest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Earnest, 334-279-7431. Earnest Financial, LLC.
Rich Thomas weather.
Hi, everybody. No big surprises. It's a typical June forecast with random scattered showers and storms each day, but not as many as we saw earlier in the week. They will tend to fade out in the overnight hours. Low temperature down to about 70. Tomorrow, I think we're up around 90 again, but the heat index will be very close to triple-digit levels. Slow down, take it easy, stay hydrated. Then the number of storms will start to increase again, unfortunately, Friday through Father's Day Sunday. Still random, but more storms to go around. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
We're redesigning financial freedom at CB&S Bank. Make purchases at participating stores and restaurants using your CB&S Bank debit card through your mobile devices with Mobile Wallet. Charges and fees may apply from your cellular service provider. Contact your service provider for more information. Member FDIC.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
How you conduct yourself in a democracy.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. My silent in the studio producer just told me this day in 1993 that Jurassic Park came out. Great movie. Now, the original is actually a little more, great action, but very philosophical. I like that one. Of course, Goldblum steals the show in that movie. Might have to revisit that if that came out all those years ago. Great flick. Now, getting back to the news, we have the announcement that it looks like the China deal is pretty much done, that the China tariffs are pretty much set. I believe the president in his Truth Social post said it's going to be 55% on China from the United States, 10% China in response, and there's all sorts of deals being made. But here is the Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, who was part of the negotiations. Well, he's going to lay it down in his own words.
I guess is the total, including what? The fentanyl tariffs, the higher tariffs on China, the 10% that we had
remember,
previously.
you've got all the tariffs, that President Trump set in his first term, right? And those never came up. We never discussed them at all. We have the fentanyl tariffs, and they said, look, it's very hard for us to stop fentanyl. We said, well, you stop the magnets in like an hour. If you stop the magnets in an hour, how can you not stop fentanyl ingredients in an hour? Come on, you could do it if you wanted to do it. And they said, look, that's not on the table. So we said, okay. So we sent experts in the other room to discuss it. But the end result was they are on, the 20% fentanyl tariffs are on, and the 10% reciprocal tariffs are on. So we have 30 for this, plus the 25 from this first term. We're in a very good position. We like our position. We like the way things are working with China. We got to a very positive place because of the call. It really was the call that Donald Trump had with President Xi last Thursday. Think about it. They agreed to get together right away, and we got together on Monday. And I want to say the people from the UK couldn't have been kinder. They set up everything. They were fantastic for us. They created a great place. And I got to tell you, the room we were in was a perfect, I never felt more comfortable because every inch of the room was gold leafed. It was like Donald Trump. It was like the perfect place to negotiate a Donald Trump deal. President Trump would have loved that room. It was perfect for the American.
So it seems like good news coming out of this. Now, what's the next shoe to drop? Who knows? One of the key architects of that deal, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, well, he was in front of Congress today, and he's been correcting a lot of Democrats today. In particular, one moment, I don't know if y'all have ever experienced this, where if you dare to correct a woman, especially of a certain age, you are accused of sexism or misogyny or just being a real jerk. But, at the end of the day, you're right. So this is Representative Linda Sanchez, who appears to be of a certain age. And she is trying to lay certain things down to the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. And let's see how this goes exactly.
In fact, we've already seen that prices are rising on many everyday goods.
Congresswoman,
please don't interrupt me.
We had
the time is mine. The time is mine. Please don't interrupt me. I will ask you questions and I will grant you an opportunity to answer them, but please don't interrupt me during my time.
With pleasure.
Okay, I know I'm a woman, but please try to limit yourself to answering my questions.
Yeah, the crowd is like,
I'm sorry, but we
on.
get talked over all the time, and I don't want that to happen at this hearing.
I will say this. I got to hear this again.
And
I will ask you questions and I will grant you an opportunity to answer them, but please don't interrupt me during my time.
With pleasure.
Okay, I know I'm a woman, but please try to limit yourself to answering my questions. No, I'm sorry, but we get talked over all the time, and I don't want that to happen at this hearing.
I wonder why. Listen to yourself.
We get talked over. I'm not there. Me, and then this happened and that happened, and I didn't feel that good about that thing happening, and it reminded me of this one other thing that was happening.
It's like, get to the point. Get to the point. Anyway, that's Bessent. I like how he just demurred and was like, yeah, my pleasure. But she's wrong. The first thing she said is it's just wrong. That's not correct. You're not seeing an increase across the board. It's inflation numbers are better than everybody was thinking they would be this early. In fact, Trump calling on Jerome Powell to cut the interest rates by a whole percentage point, 100 basis points. But here's a little more two men going at it. So it's not as quiet as like, I'm a woman and we get talked over all the time. And it's, why don't you be more respectful like my husband? He listens to all my stories. I don't know if he's listening, honey. If he is, he's a better man than me. Now, this goes to Representative Neal, who seems to have a bit of a past with Bessent. They seem a little chummy, even though Neal is a Democrat. And let's listen into this exchange together, where Bessent kind of just lays down the facts.
It's because of what we did with the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah.
That's why the improvements have taken place, the
Right.
technological upgrades that have taken place as well.
He's talking about the IRS. The reason there's been technological improvements at the IRS is not because of Doge and people actually who are, software engineers and coders going and actually seeing these things through. It's because they spent a lot of money. Let's keep listening to this guy.
We have a pretty good understanding of this. We want to use artificial intelligence for better tax collections. But all of this just happened in the last 6 months. That's our understanding based upon the testimony. The Commonwealth Fund, cuts to Medicaid and SNAP are going to lead to the loss of over 1 million jobs. The American Hospital Association estimates that tens of thousands of hospital jobs will be lost as a result of these cuts. Furthermore, a professor at Yale has said that this will conservatively cause tens of thousands of unnecessary deaths. Worse health care, job losses, more borrowed money. The American people deserve considerably better than what we're being told. But let me offer this challenge, Mr. Secretary. We would be prepared on the minority side to work with the administration and direct tax relief back to people under $400,000 of joint income, as opposed to the suggestion that is being offered here today. And if you disagree with the number that I offered about tax relief for somebody who made $1 million last year, let me give you the last 30 seconds to speak to that.
The Representative Neal, I have great respect for you. We've had good conversations, but respectfully, if I weigh 1,000 pounds and you weigh 50, and I gain 10 pounds, or I gain 10%, I have gained 100,000. That during President Trump's first tax cuts, the share of taxes paid by the high end of taxpayers, they increased by more than 7%. And I'm sorry, I chuckled when you talked about the IT at the IRS. The program is 35 years behind schedule, 35 years, and is wasting $2 billion a year.
That's why we put the extra money in, Mr.
No. The extra money went in for bodies, and whistleblowers acknowledged that standards were being lowered to bring in new agents. The money is not the issue here. It is how the money is spent.
That's exactly right. We agree on that, how the money is spent. And the last point that I would make,
it has been spent poorly.
let me make this last point, Mr. Secretary.
No, he's completely contradicting you, Congressman Neal. It wasn't that y'all passed and spent a bunch more money. And that's what's driving me nuts. It's like, well, we just got to spend a bunch more money. And it's like, and for what result? I don't think it's the money. I think it's the actual, running of the joint. How are you actually managing this? How are you actually standing up these things you've been promising for a few decades? Anyway, I still don't. Every time I watch some of these clips from the Congress, they don't exactly inspire a lot of confidence, though at least that one was a little more respectful back and forth as opposed to, I'm a woman and we always get interrupted and Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey, it's Bill.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
I'm great. You know, when these congressmen get up there and start this diatribe of just puking their guts out in words, I would love for one of the people that are being questioned to just let them ramble on. And at the end of it, say, are you out of your time? Because you rambled on so long, I forgot what the question is. Could you repeat the question, please?
I've seen that tactic pulled. Like, what are you, a talk radio host? Get to the point.
But it's so crazy how they do that, and it's they're trying to make a point rather than ask a question and solve a problem.
Oh, of course, and it's for the folks back home, and I really do respect Democrat or Republican, the people that are actually interested in conversation with these witnesses. That's refreshing at times.
Yeah, and it is frustrating for me to listen to some of that when it could just be a 5 or 6 word question about a specific thing and then move to another point. Cover points rather than wasting their time. And the witnesses, Kash Patel, I take my hat off to him because he sits there and weathers it, never changes his facial expression, and then jerks the rug out from under their feet when he gets the mic, and goes straight to whatever the point that he wants to make, regardless of what question they ask.
Oh yeah.
And you have to laugh when you see him do that, because it has to really frustrate those Congress people that he's not answering their question, but he's making his point.
Well, I appreciate your point, Bill. Appreciate the call. Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, have a great day.
You too. Now let's go to another scene at this committee hearing. Yes, that word was seen. At this committee hearing. This is more friendly territory. This is a Republican. What's his name? Representative Smucker. Careful saying that too quickly. But Congressman Smucker, he is going to, give some softballs for Scott Bessent to knock out of the park. Let's listen in.
From the other side here today on things that just simply falsehoods about the bill, things that are not in this bill. And I just want to remind our listeners what Democrats are voting for by voting against this bill. They will be voting for a vote against this bill is a vote for the largest tax increase in American history, a tax increase that will affect average households at every tax bracket level. They're voting for a decrease, in fact, a 50% decrease in the child tax credit, which is so important, provides important relief to every American family. They're voting for allowing Medicaid dollars to go to people who are here in the country illegally at the expense of American citizens.
Yes, sir, 1.4 million of them.
And they are voting to allow Medicaid dollars that are intended for people who really need them to go to individuals who could be working but choose not to.
They are voting for Medicaid benefits not to go to women and children as they should.
They're also voting against policies they voted for before that will be critical to grow this economy and provide additional opportunity. Policies like full expensing, they voted for that last cycle or last session. Full deductibility of R&D, full expensing. I mentioned full expensing, and then we're adding full expensing for structures, which will re-energize American manufacturing. All of the things Democrats will be voting against by voting against this bill.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Now the Democrats could say, well, you could take, certain parts of it out. It doesn't have to be all this one big hostage deal, but it's going to be one bill, whether Democrats or certain Republicans like it. Honestly, I am very skeptical. Count me in the camp that has a big place in my heart, if not my whole heart, for people like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul, because they've been saying this for years. Ron Paul was saying it for years. It's always, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it next year. We'll do it when the time is right. When the time is ripe. Well, the politics and the given political climate, we can't cut spending right now. You're not even cutting that much and listen to how, people are going to die. So why not just go for it, man? If they're going to accuse you of the worst anyway. The good news is despite the Republicans' imperfect performance, to put it nicely, I don't think the Democrats are doing much better. Here is Senator John Kennedy reacting to all the riots going on around the country. And, well, he has some unsolicited advice, or at least a take on his Democratic colleagues.
My Democratic colleagues have a game plan. I don't think it's a very good one, but it's the same game plan we've seen forever. President Trump is a dictator. He's trying to destroy democracy. Now he's trying to take over our cities. And they're trying to convince the American people that that's true. There's just one problem. The American people can see what's going on. It's just like they could see that President Biden had neurodegenerative disease. They can see the riots in Los Angeles. So when the Democrats try to tell them not to believe their lying eyes, nobody believes them. I think they ought to get a new strategy here. But aside from the politics, Los Angeles is one of the greatest cities in the world. We shouldn't stand by and let the wolves destroy it or devour it.
Well said. Hey, got to hit another break. First, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health, and they're at Montgomery Men's Health. They're ready to help you fellas out. If you're, feeling the effects, or you might suspect you're feeling the effects of low testosterone. It could be a problem for, of course, men hitting middle age. But a lot of guys in their 20s and 30s are also experiencing symptoms associated with low T. So it doesn't hurt to get it checked out, especially if you're lacking energy physically and mentally, like you're walking around in a mental fog, like you're trudging through mud, you're stuck in the mud. You're just always tired. You're seeing unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass, and you're never in the mood. You have no sex drive to speak of. Well, a lot of this points to low testosterone. So why not stop by Montgomery Men's Health today? You can call them up today, and they'll conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And if low T is, in fact, your problem, say that score comes back low. Well, they have treatments there for low testosterone that can truly change men's lives, including treatments that'll make you feel better the very same day. After treatment, men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, brother, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and you usually even notice an increased libido. And you can actually book the same day that you call. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
When you need a new door or window replaced, you want it done right. Someone who delivers expert craftsmanship every time. Experience is a must. Listen, Davis Door and Sash. They can show you new doors and windows that can help you lower your utility bills and boost energy efficiency. DavisDoorandSashAlabama.com or call 334-288-6010. Davis Door and Sash, the perfect fit for your home.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hi, this is Carol Kennedy with Camo Country, and we've been advertising with Blue Water Broadcasting for many years, and we appreciate Blue Water Broadcasting helping promote Camo Country.
Radio reaches over 90% of everyone in the river region. Shouldn't your ads be out there where your customers are? Call us to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Corporate. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
I'm great. How about you guys?
Good.
So you were just telling me off the air that Katie Britt was on the radio a minute ago.
No, she was. I was playing a clip of her in Congress. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask the question. Did you tell her I can put floors in for her?
I have not. I've not talked to her since you requested I do that. I might be able to sneak that in. What were we talking about?
Male pattern baldness?
For women in 23andMe, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I could sneak it in that, you do great resurface jobs and, the senator needs a new office. Maybe like it's a local office here. They need new resurfacing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go to Tuscaloosa, Birmingham. It don't matter. If she needs floor, we're headed that way. I was actually going to call you while you were on the phone with the mayor and put a plug in. But I thought there was no way in the devil he's ever going to buy something from Prattville Carpet for the city of Montgomery.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask.
It don't hurt to ask. But, yeah, I can see it now as the Montgomery Council's reading Prattville Carpet. I don't think that's going to fly.
Yeah.
I need to come up with a second name just so I can sell it to Montgomery. What do you think?
Yeah, like government entities with the Montgomery Nexus, because you got to keep the family name. You got to keep the regular, but you can have a spinoff. I like that.
Absolutely. Now, hey, don't forget, we do have, all joking aside, we have some crazy goodbyes in here right now. We got in-stock LVP. It just, the list goes on and on. If you need a floor, no matter what it is, a bathroom remodel, a kitchen remodel, call us 285-8117. We'll come out and give you that free measurement. Next thing you know, you got a floor down.
It really is that simple, folks. Just call them up, 285-8117, and be sure to say, hey, I heard Ray Bowles on the radio with that Joey Clark fellow.
Hey, have a great day.
Appreciate it, Ray. Oh, and by the way, we got a certain someone, Mark's here in the studio, keeping an eye on me.
Mark's in the tell him I said hello.
Ray says hello. Well, appreciate it, Ray.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Anyway, I think Pamela's in the studio. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
Hi. The camera's not facing me. Not really.
Yeah, turn it a little more.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's all right. How are you doing?
Pretty good. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
I have
it's a
felt
nice day.
I've kept it together, but I've been feeling a little insane today. I don't know what the deal is.
The full moon?
I don't know if the full moon triggers it or it's just like looking at the news too early in the day.
What's in the news today? I've been working all day.
Trump's parents were told that he's a really talented, like he's a natural with music. So he might have been the instrument he played and was training on, getting lessons from, flutist.
Okay.
Could have been a flutist.
Okay.
So that's going on. That one made me happy.
That's interesting.
The Senator Britt clip did crack me up too.
Hmm.
I don't know if you caught that portion.
I wasn't listening, but I just heard you talking about it.
Here,
That is funny.
I can pull that one up real quick because it is just bizarre.
Mhm.
And this guy, by the way, who is the CEO or something like that, yeah, the CEO, interim CEO, Joseph Savage. He is just straight up creepy looking. Like, look at that guy. He's the CEO of 23andMe.
Didn't they just file bankruptcy?
Yeah. So there'll be restructuring probably. I wonder where all that data is going to go. But Senator Britt had a good line of questioning here.
And so do you text for sex?
Got my attention.
You know, as part of our testing, we do identify if the DNA showed that if the individual is male or female.
And male is XY chromosome
That is correct.
and female XX.
Correct.
On your database, though, you go into saying that if people self-identify of another gender, that you will attempt to give them a prognosis of the gender that they identify with versus the gender that they test for.
Senator, I'm not aware of that.
Oh, yeah, you do. So it says, we understand that sex is not always binary and the words male and female may not accurately reflect an individual's identity. We also recognize that being categorized by birth sex may be an uncomfortable or triggering experience to some, and we do not mean to delegitimize anyone's gender identity or expression. We use your self-reported sex to customize your health and trait reports. For example, genetic risk and what they may mean differ between men and women.
Yeah,
So
please let me know if
men
I'm
and women are
for prostate
different,
cancer.
right? I mean, you say that here. We just talked about the genetic testing. But then you go on to say, if you tell us you're a female, your reports will contain information that is relevant to genetic females XX. If you tell us you're male, your reports will contain information that is relevant to genetic males XY. Additionally, there are some sex-specific reports that are available on individual selected profile sex, such as male hair loss or bald spot. That's because either we're not able to build out an acceptable model for both genders or because the trait is actually sex specific. And so I guess I'm wondering, did you test, like if it's a genetic female that identified to you as a male, would you test them for male pattern baldness?
Senator, you know, we, as you mentioned, we actually do, the customer does report to us, you know, what they believe their sex is.
Yeah.
And we test against that as well as what we found in the DNA as testing as well.
I think probably the DNA is what's best for predicting actual future disease or harm or what may come good.
You would think.
No wonder they're bankrupt? Really? Wow. That's crazy. I've never spit in anything and sent it to that company. If you have, you
I've
could
done
also.
Ancestry.
Yeah. Did they give you any details?
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not likely to have male pattern baldness. I know that.
No testicular cancer?
No prostate cancer. No, nothing like that. But I give all my spit and blood and everything to the military already. So I was like, what does it matter? I can, you know, I'll do Ancestry.
I guess my endometriosis I shouldn't worry about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's so crazy. Anyway, y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg Vidal. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 90.